Good morning, this is Newswire. Dennis Aseto. King Charles III says climate change, food security as well as availability of water are factors that need to be looked into in African countries. King Charles said that by addressing these, the number of people who face hunger and drought will reduce.
As we heard at the Africa Climate Summit, action is needed desperately to conserve and save our natural world. After all, there are hundreds of millions of hectares of depleted land all across the world, of degraded land, with 700 million hectares alone in Africa that could be brought back to life in order to help those countries and communities on the front line of this crisis. Kenya, through its leadership and the ingenuity of its youth, will play a vital role, but only through continued cooperation will we succeed.
The king further called on Kenyans to support President William Ruto's dream on climate change.
So as we look ahead to COP28 in another month's time or whatever, we must remember what President Ruto said at the African Climate Summit: we go far when we go together. Too far, to Ulu Pamoja.
President William Ruto is today expected to launch the construction of affordable houses in Mombasa County. More than 5,000 houses are expected to be built, with President William Ruto estimating that by January next year, another 5,000 houses will be built in his quest to provide affordable housing.
Mimi naenda kuanzisha pale Shimoni, naenda kuanzisha fish port, mahali ambapo tumeweka karibu shilingi bilioni 2 kupanga vile tutavua samaki tuuze hapa Kenya na tuuze katika masoko mengine ya nje. Hiyo kazi nakadiria kwamba itachukua miaka 2 itakuwa imekamilika.
It is on his first day of the visit that President William Ruto announced that the government will buy land and distribute it to residents to deal with the issue of quotas in Mombasa County.
Niliwaambia ndani ya miaka 5 tutapanga hiyo kazi. The first 1 billion shillings tayari imewekwa kwa budget. Tunataka kupanga vile absentee landlords wote tutawalipa pesa ambayo ni mpango ya serikali, alafu ile ardhi tuwagawie wananchi wenyewe waweze kuendesha na maisha yao, wawache kuishi kama maskota.
On his part, Mombasa Governor Abdul Somad Sharif Nasir has made it clear that the county government has started negotiations with landowners as well as financial institutions to ensure that the residents own land so that they can develop themselves.
Baadhi ya mabwenyenye wengine ambao tumekubaliana nao na serikali ya county, sisi tunasema kwa tunachukua jukumu, tunafanya mapping wale walioko pale, tunaangalia njia kuongea na financial institutions, watu wakilipa land rates kidogo wanalipa na ile deni ile ambayo kwamba ya kununua ardhi, watu waweze kuwa na rasilimali yao.
Basic Education PS Bailey Kipsang says for more placements will be done before Christmas. Speaking at Westlands Primary School, Kipsang said that the KCPE marking exercise starts immediately so that candidates will know their fate before the festive season to allow early preparation for admission.
We have started receiving the OMR papers. We have started receiving the composition and INSHA papers. And I want to assure you that we are going in immediately to start marking. I would want to indicate that because of the work that is bending ahead and our children have to report to school in January, we shall prioritize the marking of KCPE so that before we break for Christmas, our parents will have known where their children will have been admitted to, and also to prepare them to mobilize the necessary resources in the earliest time possible. We release the results to give parents adequate time to prepare.
Kipsang further assured all teachers involved in marking and invigilating exams that their dues will be paid on time.
So on marking, I would want to assure again the country that this year we are adequately resourced to be able to compensate and to pay our professionals who have been handling the examination, including our examiners. So we want to assure our examiners that this time we shall be able to sort out all payments that are due to them in good time. So to that extent, I would want to assure all of us that we are ready and prepared.
This is Newswire. I'm Dennis Aseto. Good morning.
102.5 SpiceFM, Kisumu.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on SpiceFM.
Good morning, and I love your show.
Thank you.
Having come from a Kikuyu radio background, I migrated to Spice because of the content.
I was born in a slum, but somehow I got a break in life. So sometimes when you see the sweating coming out because of the passion and whatever it is, behind the noise, there are people. And we share the same umbilical cord.
It shouldn't be like that. I am so disappointed. We used to tell Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga that he's doing police of conmanship. And even President Uhuru Kenyatta, serikali hii ndio iko na conmanship ya hali ya juu. You cannot promise people that you reduce tax, then you double.
In politics, there is the issue of trust. For you to turn around and then stab the same people who gave you that trust, there is no other level of dishonesty.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
If a lion shows you its teeth, it doesn't mean it likes you.
It doesn't mean it likes you. It won't start. A liar calls as witness one who is either dead or far away. Say it in Kiswahili.
Below, ninte, yeninte, markati kadikta. You know this character called liar. He has disturbed people. So when you tell him who are your witnesses, he will take you to a place where it is difficult to verify.
For someone like me who sweats a lot, I cannot survive there. You know, sweating is biblical. And you must blame it on Adam, not me. You know, because Adam messed up and he was told, "No, you fellow, you." But it's critical that people pay taxes. But then taxation has to have a limit. When you start overtaxing people beyond certain limit, then this is now we call robbery with violence.
We are all struggling, but we don't show. If you're not doing well, shame on you. But you have to say, I'm broke and I'm struggling. We are not okay until everybody is okay.
We are pretending to have political parties. Why don't we just be honest? And we say, these are the Luyas, these are the Kambas, these are the Kikuyus, and we find ourselves in Kenya.
You know, with politics and leadership, no matter what you do, there will always be a complaint. There will always be the assumption that you're either stealing or you're not doing things right. As a leader, don't fear. If you know you're doing the right thing, you've thought about it, you've got an expert advice, do it, then understand later.
This country, we don't need prayers. Prayers is between you and God. Good government.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Thank you very much, Eric, and it's good to be at the Situation Room.
Always a pleasure coming here. This is the most challenging interview panel in Kenya. You guys are very well informed, and as you can see, Charles today very philosophical.
To be poor in this country is the greatest sin you can commit, not just from a legal perspective, but from life generally. It is very, very skewed.
We've just heard on the floor of Parliament, just most recently, a leader within the ODM saying that Sisi ni ng'ombe is a baba.
Yeah.
Which means that you are willing to be milked dry.
You cannot force me to believe. I'll give.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
The man who looks at a beautiful girl and doesn't talk to her will end up serving lunch at her wedding.
City. Do like that. My father has killed a mouse.
Will he fail to kill a man?
Ameua panya.
Small mammal, big mammal.
Mtu atamshinda.
I mean, I don't understand. What are they saying? How are we comparison? I mean, you kill a mouse.
What are they saying?
What they're saying is, my father has killed a mouse. Will he fail to kill a man? Name, surprise. Someone's name.
The name surprised you?
No, the name is surprise.
No, what am I saying? I'm from Nigeria, man. I met somebody called I Believe. So
See?
like, your name is I Believe? Yes, my name is I Believe. But that's the short form. I said, excuse me? I said, yes, my name is I Believe. So what's the full name? I believe in the goodness of... It's raining, it's pouring. Is the old man snoring? What's happening on these Nairobi streets this morning? There's traffic and it's coming in heavy already out of that whole Spring Valley area. And looking at Kaptagat Road, touching in from Loresho, going through towards Peponi. It's moving slower than it normally would at this hour. Who knows? Is it because of the rain? It's all a wait and see kind of thing this morning. So with the rains coming down, we're likely to see heightened levels of traffic because folks are going to slow down just a tad to avoid anything because of the slipperiness of the roads, right? We're also looking at movement on Jogo Road. It's already coming in heavy on Uhuru Highway as you get out towards the Nyayo Stadium roundabout and then into the city, touching on Haile Selassie at the junction. Kangunda Road looks good as it does on the Eastern Bypass and as well as Juja Road getting into the city. Gong Road for now looks good. Hopefully we can keep it just so. Fingers crossed, knock on wood, that this morning traffic will not be hellish, but we'll wait and see. Talk to us this morning on SpiceFM KE on X, and let's keep things moving this Thursday.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is The Situation.
Okay, good morning. How are you? It's raining. The heavens have opened up and have decided on this Thursday, the 2nd of November, let me tell you that little guy might actually be here. And CT will be very happy to tell you. He said, you guys think El Nino is gone. It's not gone. It's here. And it's coming. And it's coming in heavy. But it's nice to enjoy this weather in the morning, isn't it? Good morning and welcome. At 13 minutes past 6 o'clock, Kenya's biggest conversation starts now. Ndu is here. CT is here. Eric is here. The boys are in blue. CT, good morning. Hey, CT is under the table. Under the table.
Hello.
Good morning, CT.
You know, King ako Kenya. So,
Nyinyi?
Yes. Hii mambo ya kusema alo. Hello.
Hello. Oh, no, nowadays you say hello.
Akitoka, turudi kwa alo. Lakini,
Vipi.
For now, Vipi wana. It's now hello.
Oh, hello. How are you this morning?
Super, it's perfect.
Fantastic.
Yes, I'm in the pink.
Yes, I am.
Hii kizungu mazee. Aish. Wei, iko na mambo yake.
Hii wiki?
Yeah. No, hii kizungu.
Oh, hii kizungu iko na mambo yake.
Yes. In fact, what I would have really loved to see, all these Africans, our leaders and the others, greeting the king. You know, when we are in front of a Mzungu, first of all, one who is like King, you know, we laugh throughout.
Nervous laughter.
Yes. Your Majesty.
Oh, no, Your Majesty.
Yes. See, Mrs. King is called Majesty.
Mrs. King, yes. Mrs. King is also called Majesty.
Yes.
Their Royal Majesty.
But no, these are good things. These are very good things. There's something about the British monarchy that has spanned over time. And I think the immediate former monarch, the late Queen Elizabeth, I think is, as Kenyans would say, majorly responsible for
this status and everything that goes with this particular monarchy.
She was. True. She was on the seat for 50-something years, man.
There's something about her that resonated well with many people.
Good morning, Eric.
Good morning.
How are you?
How do you do?
I do well, thank you.
How do you do? I've never understood
How
this.
do you do what?
I mean,
surely. How do you do what?
How is it that how do you do? The correct response is how do you do? What do you mean?
How do you do? Really?
Really? Come on, man. I'm
Isn't it a
okay.
question? No, how do you do? How do you do what?
What? Yes.
Yeah.
And you, what are you doing?
Then I say, how do you do?
Yes. So essentially, you told me unadu. No. Listen, nawe unadu. Yes.
That's exactly what you're asking.
Okay, no unadu.
Otherwise, mko poa?
Otherwise, yetu ni poa.
Sisi. Tuko tu at least, brother. Yes.
Okay. I don't wanna argue koko sawa, niko sawa.
I cannot find my telephone. I knew I had it this morning. But anyway, I'll look for it. Where did I pass?
Where did you last see it?
When I was having coffee with you guys.
Okay. Hiya, habari kila mtu. Let me tell you what we shall be discussing today. Senior, one is about university education. So the Form 4s are about to start their exams
tomorrow.
And then they'll be thinking about university placement next. We'll be joined by Shane Aman Premji. Shane is the co-founder and CFO of a company called Cradle. He will be talking about navigating the higher education space, scholarships, study destinations, universities, and more at 7 a.m. Okay? And then at 8 o'clock, we will be joined by Dr. Architect Daniel Manduku, MP, the Member of Parliament for Nyeri Masaba constituency. He will be talking to us about political promises and Kenya's shrinking economy. It is Thursday, so we're going to have our Justice Thursday conversation towards a child-centered justice system. This month of November is a Child Justice Month. Okay. The Honorable Barbara Ojo is a senior principal magistrate, and Pamela Masahwi is a member of the National Council for the Administration of Justice Standing Committee on Children Matters. The two ladies join us at 9 a.m. to talk about a child-centered justice system. Mambo iko namna hiyo. Sawa. Live stream today, Mumbi came in at 3 a.m. She's put it on immediately. Like we don't have to wait. The live stream is on. It's the second day of November 2023. People are online. Let us see where they're locked in from after we take a look at the weather forecast.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
It's raining in Nairobi this morning. We'll see highs of 23 and lows of 16. It's a cloudy morning in Nakuru, which would lead to rain later with highs of 24 and lows of 13. Nyeri, raining more than a drizzle at 15 with highs of 23. And then looking into Eldoret, it's partly cloudy. Again, the forecast is rain with highs of 23 and lows of 12. Looking into a cloudy Mombasa at 25, it'll go to highs of 30 and lows of 25, while Malindi is going to see some sun this morning with highs of 31 and lows of 25. Kisumu, clear for now at 19 with highs of 28 and lows of 19, while Kakamega is mostly clear at 17 with highs of 27 and lows of 16. Kampala is mostly cloudy at 20 with highs of 27, and Dar es Salaam raining this morning at 25. We'll see highs of 28 and lows of 24. All right, Mogadishu, partly sunny at 24 with highs of 30, and Addis Ababa is clear at 10 with highs of 23. Johannesburg, mostly cloudy at 9 with highs of 21 and lows of 9, while it's clear in Lagos this morning at 26. It'll go to highs of 32. Kinshasa is mostly cloudy at 24 with highs of 31 and lows of 21. Looking into Beijing, Thursday afternoon is already we'll see highs of 22 and lows of 9. It's a cloudy, windy morning in Paris. at 13 with highs of 15 and lows of 6. Temperatures dropping in London as well, 12 degrees with heavy rain, highs of 12 and lows of 9. And it's clear in New York at 4 degrees. Coming into Thursday, we'll see highs of 10 and lows of 1.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right.
Forget about that one. Just do the thing.
All right, let's do the thing. Don Sabo says, good morning, CT Eric Ndu. In Malawi this month, we say, Mwezi Uno. Say Mwezi Uno.
Mwezi Uno.
Well done. Today we say Lero, and new month we say Mwezi Watsopano. CT, please repeat for all of us. Mwezi Uno, Lero, na Mwezi Watsopano. Go.
Mwezi Uno, Lero.
Mwezi Watsopano.
Mwezi Watsopano.
Good job. Evans Nyangano says, good morning, Spice. Tuned in from Rangao in Kajiado County. It's drizzling now. Yes, it is. It's raining everywhere you look almost. Jennifer Etenyi says, good morning, Team Spice FM and fellow listeners and watchers. Joel Odondi says, good morning. And he has introduced himself and says, Joseph Odondi, joining from Kansas, USA. I'm wondering what...
Actually, his name is not Joseph.
Oh, I'm very sorry. It's Joel, because the person right after is Joseph. So my eyes had gone ahead of me.
It's Joel.
Joel.
As I mentioned before, my personal relative.
Your relative,
yes,
Sawa, has announced himself. He's from Kansas, and he says he's wondering what happened to the presidential address to Parliament. Allah.
King is here. King.
So things must hold on.
His Majesty.
When King goes, President will address Parliament.
Will take place.
Good morning, the big three. Locked in from Lusail. That's Alex Mnai. Joseph says, good morning. Peter Katam says, good morning, folks. Happy November. Winter weather is here. Regards from York in Pennsylvania. Jane Kinaro, hi, Ndu, Eric CT, joining the morning show from Kenya's fourth city. Which one is that one? Nakuru.
Which one?
The Kenya's fourth city is which one? Oh,
fourth city?
Nakuru.
Is Nakuru.
Nakuru. Thought so. Where did everybody go? Voila, here they are. Okay. So good morning to you. Desmond Ortiz says, good morning, Eric CT and Ndu. Hanya Beach is well represented. Ricardo Mariero says, tuned in Kings and Queens from Kitengela. Tukondani says, Richard Muka. Simon Ndiatsi says, good morning, tuned in from the rainy Great Wall of Kino. It's raining everywhere, isn't it? Francis Kivindu says, good morning, always... Good morning, the always awesome threesome. Tuned in from Thika. Looking forward to another day of elevated conversations. Okay. Abuto Kamla says, hi, Ndu, Eric and CT. Is it me or you guys didn't have the show yesterday? We were here. I don't know where you were. It is you, my dear. Greetings from King.
Oh, there was a delay in getting the live stream.
Getting the live stream up, yes. So the live stream maybe kicked in at a few minutes after 7 o'clock, but we were here. So did you give up early? Maybe that's why. Totti Bishop himself is greeting us. He is the King Bishop, and he says he is greeting us. Lilian Atieno is tuned in from Kisumu. Polycarp Omondi says, good morning, Unadu. Unadu at however.
How do you do?
Carol Nyabura says, good morning, everybody. Have a blessed day. Polycarp Omondi says, if Ndu doesn't find her telephone, I suspect someone. In fact, where is my phone? I don't understand. Akiki says, good morning, CT Ndu and Eric. Have a lovely day to you too. Nyaboke says, waiting for Mr. Daniel Manduku. Meanwhile, Ebu, I'm shaking Geoffrey Mogaka for me. Mogaka, wake up. Zachary Odeo says, good morning, CT Eric and Ndu. Icelandic says, the best show south of the Sahara. Don is asking again, what happened to HELB? Good question. I'll bring out something about that in a minute. Good morning, great team. A suggestion, let us have the PS or CS education so as to answer the many questions we have regarding education in Kenya. Yes, Jambura, we hear you. Munai Kiplagats is tuned in from Makimeni in Bomet
there you
County.
Go.
Watching live from Edmonton, Canada, the land of snow. I know, Halloween and snow, all those things are already here. Sophia Damari is tuning from Abu Dhabi, says, Salimia hu jamaa wa news. Nani? Aseto mesalimiwa na Sophia. All right, ni hao. Can you host the king before Arudi? Atutaki. Washira, good morning. Munadu, how? Yeah, I know. It's a question, isn't it? Okay, Kiroi Peter, the 2000 says, good morning. How's the going? It's good here. Ian Nalika is also here. Good morning to you. It's snowing in Antarctica. It's always snowing in Antarctica. Steve Mishare says, good morning. Abite the lady says, good morning from Kisumu. Have a wonderful day ahead. Everybody, thank you for joining us this morning. Karibuni sana.
Kila mtu. Karibu. Bwana Muga, take us to
Republic of
the drummers
of Bujumbura.
No,
drummers.
You said the other capital is called Githeri. It's called what?
Githeri. Not everything is about Githeri, Eric.
No.
Okay.
I think
What's it called?
It's called Gitega. I was hoping you'd say it's called Itega because it's called
Gitega. Okay.
Yes.
I know there's a Gi something and
yes,
a T.
There's a Gi.
G-I-T.
Gi.
So as long as it's GIT, it's Githeri.
Githeri. Yes. This one is an interesting one. The unlucky man's hope prevented him from committing suicide.
The unlucky man's hope prevented him from committing suicide.
It is his hope.
Yes, he was going to succeed. Then hope got in the way. Otherwise, he would have succeeded. Yes.
So for those who have no hope, then that suicide
success is more or less guaranteed.
Yeah.
Keep
it's
hope
hope
alive.
that doesn't pay.
Kama unataka kufa, takufa.
Hope does a thing on you, and then you
Doesn't
don't.
it just?
Yes, it does.
Okay, headlines.
Headlines on the front page of the Standard. Form 1 slots nightmare. Yesterday I went to pick my daughter and everybody was saying, okay, before the exam results come out, we need to start looking for schools. The pressure is real. It is real. Form 1 slots nightmare. Where is Peter Mushendo? You know why? Because there's a 22 billion shilling deficit plaguing secondary schools following delayed release of capitation by Treasury. Which Treasury? The one in Kenya.
Headed by who? Professor?
CS Ezekiel Treasury. Jogona Ndongo. Thank you very much.
Majogu?
Education.
He's the education guy.
With a record number of candidates having sat this year's KCPE and the reality of crowded facilities in schools, parents are staring at a tough time placing their children in Form 1, even as the impact of Treasury's delay in disbursing 22 billion shilling capitation hits home. The Treasury is yet to release 22 billion shillings for this year. This year. Not another year, not next year. We're waiting to... This year. That's what we're talking about. Okay. We'll look into that story later. The cost of living talks team summons the Treasury and ministers. Come here and tell us how you can make this thing better. Will they go? That's a totally different story. The King honors Kenya's World War veterans. We saw that yesterday. Had an intimate ceremony when he was talking to these fellas, and I think it was good to see him doing this yesterday. And he went to the war cemetery, and he met with quite a number of folks at the Karura forest. So his tour continues.
He was karuraing.
He karurad.
Okay.
On the Nation poll, top senators and women reps. We started with governors, now we're at top senators. It would appear that for men, the top senator with 59% in terms of achievement is Busia Senator Okoh Mtata, followed closely by Kirinyaga and Kericho with Aaron Chariot. Before that was Kamau Morango for Kirinyaga. Kirinyaga is not doing too poorly because coming in second place is Kirinyaga woman rep Minor Jane Jerry, and before her is Turkana Ngtit Cecilia. And coming in third place is
Kirinyaga. How was Kirinyaga doing when it came to governors?
I need to look at that again, but I'm not sure if Kirinyaga was in the top. But we saw that
it was in the top 20,
10 perhaps. Yeah. But we saw that a lot of those numbers came out of the rift. Yeah, Wasikisho, Kericho, etc. And then Osogo Bensouda comes in third place with 49%. So we're looking at another poll released by Infotrack, which found that a majority of women representatives have their work cut out to win over votes. Look at that as well. King Charles III is off to Mombasa after Nairobi. So there's also a story about the Nairobi SGR fares up by 50%. Is he going by train? because, he has to fork over some cash. Because that's another headline in the nation. That's another headline in the nation today. The Kenya Railways has announced a 50% fare increase for Nairobi to Mombasa standard gauge railway passengers starting January 1st. Okay, it's January 1st, so he'll still pay the normal fare. KRA now eyes e-citizen data to catch tax cheats. My gosh. Anxieties worldwide as computers get smarter. Do they get smarter, or who are humans making them smarter? Abdul Samad gets a nod to charge fees at the park. Looks like everything is going up. At the port, I beg your pardon, not at the park. Me, I'm still on Masai Mara and how they doubled the fares.
Man.
I should just continue.
Tuko sawa.
Thank you.
Tuko sawa. Even if somewhere along the line you figure that you've rescinded what you said.
It's still okay.
Continue.
Ni sawa.
It's in the papers.
Yeah.
And if it isn't, we'll put it. Yes.
After all, if it's in the paper, it must be true.
Yes.
Exam season. It's now KCSE students' turn. Yes, it is. They get into their exams tomorrow. The Kenya Certificate of Primary Education examinations finally came to an end yesterday after 39 years, as the country marks a significant shift in the country's approach to primary education assessment with the introduction of the Kenya Primary School Examination Assessment, otherwise known as KCPE. Okay, so that's on the back page, the rise of fare by 50%. So if you're paying 1,000, you now pay 1,500. You get it?
Guy.
Yeah, imagine. That's what I have.
Guy. The Business Daily. So, news came out of Uganda yesterday. Kampala has decided, these Kenyans are joking. These Kenyans are joking.
They're joking.
Inside Kenya, Uganda Gulf fuel deal fallout. Uganda is upset that it was kept in the dark about the negotiations around a government-to-government fuel deal between Kenya and two Gulf nations. Minutes of meetings in which a decision was taken to dump supplies from its neighbor show. At meetings held last week and Monday this week, representatives of Uganda's Ministry of Energy, the Uganda National Oil Company, and oil marketers observed that the decision by Kenya to enter into the Gulf deal had left the neighboring country's supplies vulnerable and exposed its citizens to expensive pump prices. Changes by the government of Kenya in April to enter into government-to-government importation structures with the government of UAE and the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia to manage the challenges they were facing were done without consultations with Uganda, whether to their advantage or not. Those minutes are saying. They continue. Following the President's directive of February 27, 2023 on the supply of petroleum products into the country, the ministry guided UNOC to negotiate with one of their suppliers, Vitol Bahrain, to replace the existing oil import structures in Kenya and Tanzania. And now the Uganda National Oil Company will be in charge of supplying mafuta to Uganda.
In other words,
they were previously depending on our OTS, the open tender system.
Yeah.
The companies in Kenya then would also strike deals with the oil marketing companies in Uganda. Now, there is no OTS in Kenya, right? So, it is government to government, mafuta inakuja hapa. Mafuta inakuja hapa at a certain price. So now, the oil trading companies don't have product to take to their neighbors. Now, that exposed them vulnerably. Now, they have decided we are also going to have our own.
Even as we can do.
So they've struck a deal with Vitol Bahrain, which is going to be helping them with working capital and helping them source mafuta. So the Uganda National Oil Company will be the one that sorts out oil supplies into Uganda. One way of looking at it would be the same way the government of Kenya has sort of nationalized oil importation into the country, is the way Uganda is also nationalizing oil importation into
their own
Uganda.
country.
So what are we saying? That we are adding a little coal to the relationship we have with our neighbor.
Yes.
These frosty relations, are they good for us?
No.
Because they are our biggest trading partner, you know that.
We were making a lot of money by exporting this.
To them.
They were
Yes.
importing.
It's a big chunk of revenue that's going to go out the window.
Because Uganda, in terms of where we send things,
all the fuel
it's coming from here.
is coming from here.
So how did we bungle this?
We did government to government.
Okay. So they're also now doing government to government.
They're also now
Government
doing
to themselves.
government to Vitol. The other headline in the Business Daily, debt servicing costs go up by 216 billion shillings because of what the Okoh shilling is doing. The Treasury has revised the cost of servicing Kenya's external debt for this fiscal year by an additional 216.7 billion on account of the continued weakening of the shilling and rising interest rates on consumer loans, on commercial loans. The supplementary budget shows that the allocation for external interest payments have increased from 146 billion to 272 billion. Guy. External debt redemptions that's normally rolled over via new loans have been revised upwards by 91 billion shillings. Yeah. The ticker headlines, middle class electricity bills up 30% in a year. You middle class people are paying more for power. APA parent sells 20% stake to South African insurer. CMA to suspend day trading fees to lift uptick. City? Quick. The star.
Top right hand corner.
Yes.
Until green.
Yes.
Fighting for survival while Ruto's troops may bring down Meru Governor Kawira Mwangaza. Might, perhaps. Possibility.
And it's Ruto's troops.
It's Ruto's troops. Okay, the story is on page 4 and 5. Gore leave it late. Kogalo strike to sink Shabana as Ulinzi Stars defeat Tusker. This is football. Okay? Football. Yes, football. All right. Now, this tragedy here, exams have begun and an unpleasant story. Official collapses and dies after delivering exams in Tharaka Nithi. This is the story of Examination Council official. He died after reportedly collapsing in a place called Mudhambi in Tharaka Nithi County while at work. His name is Humphrey Njeru Kiria, 40 years old, head teacher of Ntakani Primary School. He suddenly collapsed as he was issuing out these KCPE and KPSE examination papers. He died.
Oh, yeah.
Collapse. Now, bang in the middle of the paper, tuition. Government will dish out only 15,474 per secondary school learner. Let me just go into a little. Yes, they're going to reduce this thing. This thing of the increasing they've paid, none of that has happened. School fees paying as state reduces funding. That is bang in the middle of the paper. With 6,952 slashed, at a school with 2,000 students will have a 13.9 million budget hole, just so that you get it. 13 million whole shillings.
Let's take a break.
We take a break?
Mashimo tu. Ni mashimo tu. 22 minutes to 7. That river that crosses London, what's it called? River what?
Thames. In Thames. Like in pronounce you Thames.
Because?
What do you mean?
Because what?
Okay. This place near Garden Estate called Thome.
It's Thome. Thome is where Eric's fans are this morning. Watu ambaye
Homes.
Okay.
Kimberly na watu wake wamesema yeye ni mafans wa Eric Latiff.
Na wako mahali na Toms.
Wako Toms.
Okay.
Wako Tomi wanawapenda sana.
Sikuwa nashangaa bwana. Huyu jamaa sasa
Ameenda wapi?
Haijua bwana.
Alianza mbali sana.
Yes.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
We love to share our culture and the one language that unites us all. One that helps us start the day and keeps us going. Brookside Dairy Best is part of every celebration and offers a warm welcome to every home.
Karibuni chai.
Na hii ni lugha ambayo kila Mkenya anaelewa. The more the milk, the better the chai. Chai kweli ina Brookside Dairy Best.
Chai kweli ina Brookside.
Okay, so yes, that little rain in the morning may have slowed things down just a tad, but it looks like only a little bit of traffic on the Thika Superhighway this morning coming out towards the Pangani Underpass. That's what's looking like there. And Gong Road had some movement, but it's free actually as you're getting into the city. Not much happening coming off of Jogo Road because Landis is looking good, so we're not feeding off into that yet. Still early to see then what happens with traffic today. Apart from that, I think you'll be fine. Really, everywhere you look, there's really nothing in terms of traffic, but there are a few puddles here and there. You know, let us know if you get stuck somewhere or if you're heading towards getting stuck. Let's talk on SpiceFM KE on X. Keep things moving this morning.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Morning.
Okay.
Done right.
Let's look at
94.4.
a bit. All right. We're looking at a record number of candidates having sat this year's KCPE. It was the last one. And we're looking at this class. They will be the last. They are the last KCPE, Standard 8. They will be the last Form 1. They will be the last Form 2. They will be the last Form 3. They will be the last Form 4. All right. Now, we're looking at a whole in terms of 22 billion shillings in terms of capitation that was not released this year. And this is what gave rise to head teachers and schools saying, you know what? Even when this money comes in January for whatever it's going to come for, we still have to increase school fees because we've had suppliers who've gone back with nothing and we've left gaping holes in our payouts and our budgets for the year 2023. It has not happened. So that's the only way we're going to be able to pay out come January.
Okay.
Government had said with the recommendations from the Presidential Working Party that there was going to be a slight increase in capitation because they saw it was necessary and that they were going to extend capitation to some other schools. Okay? So there would have been an increase in the amount the government is going to pay. Now we are seeing that government is saying, actually, you know what? From the 22,000 shillings, because capitation was around that 22,000 going to 23,000 shillings, that is going to be reduced by 7,000 shillings. So the gaping question goes, where is this 7,000 shillings going to come from? Now, if you were just to think off the top of your head, if you were a school head and government is supposed to give you 22k, and then they're now saying they're going to give you 15,000, where do you think you're going to ask for 7,000 to come from?
I'm not understanding something. What's the justification for the reduction?
For the reduction, they don't have. We'll look at the details. It's coming out of this story because I don't want to go into the star, but it's all combined here. Now, there are two things that we do know. One, 22 billion shillings as a whole. 1.4 million is the number of candidates sitting the last 844 KCPE exam. It's the highest number yet. 380,000 is the number of students not receiving capitation as they were not registered in menace. That's a totally different story. Why they were not registered, whose teacher did not do what, we do not know.
Okay.
But they were not getting money. All right?
Okay.
So now there's a problem when it comes to how this is going to be sorted out. Why this is going to be reduced, we'll look at that in just a tad. Now, no space, no money. We're looking at new students now going into Form 1. Remember that with CBC, high school starts at grade 7. It's now junior school. So you have junior school, 7, 8, 9, and then you have senior school, 10, 11, 12. Okay? Now, parents are staring at a very tough time next year during the admission for Form 1s. Being the last cohort, all students must transit to Form 1. But it's been established that no additional classrooms have been constructed to accommodate the huge number of candidates expected to transit to secondary schools. It is also emerging that the secondary schools are nursing a 22 billion shilling deficit, further raising questions about the readiness of the institutions to operate smoothly come first term. Already, high school managers have had to face off with the government over unpredictable and inaccurate free education capitation flow to the institutions and even proposed fee increments to unplug their deficits. What did the president say 2 days ago? There will be no increase of fees. So the question is, what on earth are we supposed to do? Education Cabinet Secretary Ezekiel Machogu yesterday revealed that for the last 5 years, the money given to schools has been declining. So he knows this. The funds provided to the Ministry of Education have fallen short of the approved rate lending, or rather leading to the underfunding of schools. The ministry is compelled to divide the available amount to the learners, which has been increasing every year. So now do you understand where that's coming from? They've said over the years, the money given to the ministry has declined. And the number of students every year has done what? Has increased. So now when they look at this formula, the best thing they can do is they have to now reduce capitation per student. Now, do you see where that 7,000 shillings comes from?
The budget for education this year is the highest ever.
Exactly.
So the budget for the Ministry of Education is not decreasing.
600 and how many? 80?
Yes.
Billion.
It's increased. You could say that the money for basic education has not increased, but it has also increased.
It has.
The number of children born in a year, well, we can project.
We can.
We know it's at least 1 million children born every year.
Yes, we know.
But on average, we're looking at about every year, and if you look at the steady incline, look at from 2016 to 2017 like that, because I looked at it yesterday specifically, there has been an increase of about 200 to 260,000 students every year who then go into the next class. However, like you say, every year in the budget, there has been an increase on the number of shillings that is now pegged to education, taking into consideration that there will be a natural increase by virtue of the fact that, like you say, people are born every year. People are going to keep moving up the ladder.
There's no increase. Our population jump is not, our population increases by an average of 1 million.
It is a
when
steady increase.
When you say now we are increasing by 1.25 million, that's a very sharp. Is that indicated in our census?
That is something like a 25% increase.
Yeah.
Now, let me tell you something else.
Every year there's an extra 200,000 children.
So like now, if you did 1.1 last year, which was the number, who sat KCPE, this year you had 1.4 who sat KCPE. That just finished yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the previous year there were less.
Yeah, they were less the previous year. So now this year, you have an additional 300,000 who sat KCPE.
So are we saying that some of the people who should have sat last year have sat this year?
But then guess what? You're also looking at 380,000 who did not sit, or rather, who did not receive capitation because they're not even in the system. So now you have to ask yourself what's going on with that.
You see, then there's this question of, if we're looking at the age of school-going children and those who ought to have been in Standard 8, how many of them are represented by the students who are actually in school?
School. Yes. Let me give you another number because I think this is crucial. Mashoko noted that the public secondary schools in the country presently have a population of 3,956,547 learners, all right, which could not be satisfied by the 65 billion shillings that is allocated.
3 million where?
Around the country.
In primary?
Public secondary schools.
Public secondary.
Okay.
Okay.
The 65 billion shillings translates to 16,428 per learner, meaning the money given to us does not equal the 22,240 that we need. So now, do you see now where they're reducing that? Because they're saying this 65 billion that has been allocated for capitation and the number of students that we have, we are not able to do more than 16,000, just about 17,000. That's why we are seeing that reduction. So the reason they're saying that we've been giving you less money through the whole year, and we have a 22 billion shilling hole because we have this number of students and we have this amount of money. And when we put the two together, we can only give you 17,000 for capitation. That's where that reduction that you were asking about, that's where it comes from. He said, next year, we project that the enrollment will be higher at 4.2 million learners. And that's an additional 300,000. If funding remains as it is, the capitation will reduce further to 15,476 per learner. He said the funding gap must be addressed urgently. I don't know who he was telling, but even as he revealed that some 350,000 students have been receiving state funding through NEMIS, have not been receiving state funding through NEMIS. Education Principal Secretary Belio Kipsang said next year schools will open with a deficit of 32% funding. 32% deficit in January. Dun, dun, dun. They said it needs to be addressed. I don't know who they're telling.
Parliament, obviously. But then
this conversation about education is fraught with very many inconsistencies.
It gives me palpitations, honestly.
Because we hear words, we hear numbers, we are told what is not going to happen or what has not happened. Sometimes in all this conversation, we forget that at the end of this conversation, there is a student.
Hey.
There's a human being, there's a child somewhere. There's a Kenyan whose lives are represented by those statistics. And they're getting the short end of this particular stick, really. And also the question that I want to ask, when the CS says that the money they were given not enough, this not enough question, we heard about it a great deal with regards to money that was given to the counties, where this money we got is not enough, we shouldn't have done this. Yet, correspondingly, there is no indication of what it is that was done with the money that was given in totality, so that we can understand where the shortfall arises.
No, but CT, I don't. Somebody needs to explain it to me for me to understand. I really, and I'm not being funny here, I don't understand. When a budget has been done, and you say that you're going to give 680 billion shillings to education, right? Now, you say that this is the manner in which you're going to fund the budget. We're going to collect taxes. We're going to borrow here and there. We're going to make sure that this is done. You have that in the plan. Essentially, that's what the budget does for you. You say this is your forecast. You also say what you're going to do. And then you say where you're going to get the money from. Isn't it? Am I wrong?
You're right.
Okay. What happens? Okay, maybe they'll say they've not collected all the money that should then be allocated to education. Something, whatever they'll say. What happens when you do? And we've already gone into another year where there is a deficit. What happens? Where does it go? And I don't think that there's enough questioning, serious demanding of information. What happens? How is it okay that you're going to start a new school year where, guess what? 3 things are happening. You phased out one major part of the curriculum. You've introduced another part. Mind you, we started junior school this year. We are going into the second year of junior school, whereby facilities still don't exist. They don't exist still now. And we're going into the second year where you're delivering new students into a place where teachers are not enough, facilities do not exist, and then capitation does not exist either. You're starting the year with a 32% deficit. That's what they were here telling us on Tuesday in the name of that they've sent money, so therefore we should be okay. No!
They haven't.
They haven't sent the money. How is it okay? Where does it go? And how is it okay that we say, okay, Merry Christmas, everybody. We'll see you in January, then we'll deal with it when we get there. Come on. Come on.
We're joking with our children.
Hey!
We're joking with the children. Anyway, we will keep making that invitation to Mr. Machogu and Dr. Belio Kipsang. One of these days, they will come and we'll ask the questions. Goat meat is silently slipping away from Kenyans' dining tables as the price surges. Once a culinary staple celebrated for its distinctive flavor and cultural significance, fewer and fewer families can now afford goat meat. Somebody who sells goat meat in Kiamaiko Market in Nairobi, Mohammed Sora, says low supply. Because of the drought that has been there prolonged, there was then dwindling stock of goats that pushed the price up. That coupled with the fact that we have a very ripe export market.
For goat meat?
Yep.
Okay.
We export our goat meat to the Middle East, the DRC, Sudan, and Egypt. And we are exporting it in dollars. So basically, the local buyers from the slaughterhouses are competing, and even from the markets are competing with the exporters. So when you're going there, this guy, he's exporting, and you see how the shilling is doing. So he's making good money with the dollar. He can outperform or outbid the local trader.
Local guy.
So goat meat locally starts getting expensive. That is one part of a story. That one is enough. That's enough. Housing levy hits 12 billion shillings in the first 3 months.
Okay.
Employers and employees paid out 11.83 billion shillings under the mandatory housing development levy in the first quarter of the financial year, according to the Treasury. The document covering July to September and tabled before the National Assembly's Finance Committee shows the Treasury collected 7.9 billion shillings in August, 3.9 in September. This document, tabled by Controller of Budget, Margaret Nyakango, shows the Treasury did not remit any exchequer releases to the Housing Fund in July. Both employees and employers remit 1.5% of gross salary. So already, housing iko na 12B, and every month we are adding an extra about 7 or 8 billion. 8 billion shillings every month going into the housing levy fund. Sio ni pesa mzuri? We should be seeing those houses just coming up day and night. You should be seeing construction happening day and night.
Should be seeing.
Oh, yes.
Tears in our eyes.
Oh, yes. You have tears in your eyes.
You will have tears in your eyes.
You keep them there. Oh, yes. Hiya.
Can I just take a moment to say that the Controller of Budget, Ms. Nyakango, has kahunas of steel, man.
Why?
She says it as it is.
Why?
She has been spilling the beans in this committee of experts with the EIA and all these other fellows who had this meeting the other day, talking about the things that are really or not going on when it comes to spending debt. She has some things to say.
But she signs off on all those spendings.
That's the thing, one must ask. But you sign off and you're telling us.
That is precisely why she knows so much about it.
She knows so much and she's not telling you this what's happening.
She signs off on it and she says it herself. But then when you look and see and wonder and think, the money is there, but what it was intended for
was not done.
Doesn't seem to have intended. That is what she's saying. But I think this is somebody who can see the future. She's putting it on record.
I told you.
Yes, she's putting it on record that she has spoken.
What she should be doing is, her office is basically, it's a pure gatekeeper office. Do not sign off
She
until
can
you're
refuse.
completely satisfied.
She can.
Because we know we set this agenda in terms of how it's supposed to be done. And you see that it's not following procedure, then you shouldn't complete it. You
Remember,
don't complete.
She's the same person who is on record as having commented how she was essentially bullied and coerced
Into
and
releasing
threatened.
15 billion, a
yes,
billion.
yes. Now, which means to be coerced, it means you are declined. And then they were told, Nanix, where?
Where can
Exactly. So, was she in essence telling us that her job and her person has been threatened? So she's figured, you know something, I am going to say anyway, so that should the threats...
Me, I'm signing, but I'll tell everybody, me, I'm signing, but...
I'm reluctantly signing, but I'm telling you that I don't agree with this signing, but I'm signing. Refuse, for heaven's sake.
Yeah.
If you'll be sacked, said, I'm sacked because I refused to sign. But anyway, she can't actually be sacked, can she?
She has security of tenor.
Yes, exactly.
She can be impeached.
Yep. She can be impeached. We know how impeachment goes, don't we? Takes a bit of time, huh?
Indeed.
Yeah, there has to be a whole process.
A rather lengthy one at that.
Yeah. Aye, City.
Right. Now, you know these stories, huh?
I love the way City pushes the mic away.
So that he can talk. In a minute.
Right. Kenya could save 2,000 lives by banning solid cooking fats. It's according to experts. Story written by John Mushangi. They say they contain trans fatty acids that increase risks of heart problems. Now, the question you'd ask is, what are you talking about when you're talking about solid fat? What is a solid fat? Okay,
like lard and things like that.
Like that.
Yeah.
That is solid fat.
Yes,
Yeah.
with this, we solidify at room temperature.
Margarine.
Okay. So are they saying that if you cook with it, it will solidify in your system?
Yes.
And if it solidifies in your system, it will coagulate and it will block perhaps passages,
Arteries and things like this.
arteries and the other things that passages, superhighways that the blood passes through, and that could cause death. Okay. The thing about this is that they're cheaper.
That's the thing.
They are
Affordability outweighs
affordable.
health.
Yes. And if you're seeking to fry something, it does help fry. So the trans fat and the fatty and the consideration that follows, that thing can come later. But why this article? You see, the discussion about cost of living cannot be wished away. If people are getting into habits that are considered to be unhealthy for them.
Is this new habit?
No.
Isn't this what we've been consuming until we started being told about salad?
Not only salad, vegetable oil.
Mafta salad.
Sunflower.
Mafta salad.
Same.
Mafta salad.
Salad is like vegetables.
It was measured in a small container like this. The Kadogo economy. The point is this, huh? Everything that is mentioned, and the mentioning has a health concern to it. Cost of living and the rising of it therein, direct threat to our health.
So, time for the news, 7 a.m.
Spice up your life.
Good morning, this is Newswire. I'm Dennis Aseto. The Kenya National Dialogue Committee has taken a break until Monday. The Kenya Kwanza co-chair Kimani Ichung'wah says the committee has now tasked the technical team to compile submissions received from the economic experts. He added that the committee will have completed a report by the 22nd of this month.
You've seen how enriching the engagements we had yesterday with our own local economic experts were. Yeah. And they're even more appraised with local issues than even those in the Bretton Woods institutions. Therefore, since they have not confirmed, we have not scheduled them, since they have not confirmed appearance. Yeah. As His Excellency has said, by Thursday, we shall now review and consider as a committee all the proposals that will have come to us from all the experts, and thereafter retreat to do the final report. And as His Excellency has said, on or before the 22nd, we expect to give the final report to the principals and also table our report before Parliament, both houses.
Azimio co-chair Kalonzo Musyoka, however, said that other stakeholders such as IMF and the World Bank who failed to appear before the committee will do so at a later date.
Nitangulia kusema kwamba bado kuna wengine ambao leo tulikuwa tuwatarajia, lakini kwa sababu ya hali ya makalenda zao tukaona kwamba tutawasikiliza Jumatatu ijayo. Kisha baadaye team zenyewe zitajaribu kuyatatua yale ambayo yako pale, sio kuyatatua. Wengine wenye ushawishi mkubwa, wengine ushawishi mdogo hivi, lakini hatua ambayo tutachukua sisi wenyewe itabainika wazi baada ya kuwasikiliza wote.
The bipartisan talks began on August 9th and are aimed at resolving the impasse between the government and the opposition. Majority Leader in the National Assembly, Sylvanus Osoro, is expected at the EACC headquarters next week to be questioned about his remarks last week in Bomet. The EACC has instructed the Member of Parliament to appear before it on the 6th to explain the allegations made that he receives bribes from Members of Parliament before proving their trips abroad. According to the Commission, Osoro's remarks are a serious violation of the Constitution. Osoro made the remarks on October 29th during a meeting organized by Bomet Movement representative Leonard Chepkorir, popularly known as Toto. Here is part of the speech.
Ukitulia nini wote? Hii malipo iko. Mimi nimekuwa bunge sasa siku nyingi na nimetengeneza kitu ya kutosha. Na mimi ndio chifu kule bungeni. Hawa watu wote, hawa wabunge wote mimi ndio nawasimamia. Na wakitaka hata kwenda ng'ambo lazima wakuje kidogo kwa ofisi yangu, wananiachia yangu ndio wanaenda. Sasa hapa atakuja kuwapanga. Tulia.
Sylvanus Osoro is the majority whip. Now, the Kenya Power has announced 4 counties will experience power outages today. Kenya Power Company said the interruptions will occur at various times of the day in different counties. The counties to be affected by power interruptions include Nairobi, Nyandarua, Kilifi and Mombasa counties. Parts of Nairobi to experience power interruptions from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. include part of Wayakiwe, ICA Lions, part of Riverside Drive, Riverside Gardens, UN Chiromo Campus, Chiromo Mortuary, part of Ring Road Westlands Lane and adjacent customers. And denominated Senator Karen Nyamu wants the Committee on Education to probe the death of a pupil that allegedly occurred in a school swimming pool in Makadara. A grade 6 pupil, Master Hadis Kanyora Mutahi of Kimathi Primary School in Bahati, died on October 11th, allegedly in a swimming pool. Speaking on the floor of the Senate Assembly, the legislator tasked the committee to specify the circumstances leading to his tragic death and whether it occurred within or outside the school premises. Nairobi County is set to open its first public eye hospital that will cater for patients with eye problems starting in November. The Mama Lucy Eye Hospital in Umoja 2 Annex is currently offering free surgical and medical eye services until Friday, 3rd of November. Mama Lucy Hospital CEO Martin Alfredo Fuller said the hospital will offer surgery, lens replacement and treatment for eye problems. And Yemen's Iran-backed Houthi rebels have said they launched a drone attack towards Israel, the latest in a spate of such raids since the start of the Israel-Hamas war. The latest attack came a day after the Houthis pledged more attacks against Israel if its war on Hamas in Gaza continues, saying it had already fired drones and ballistic missiles in 3 separate operations. This is Newswire. Dennis Aseto. Good morning.
SpiceFM, Nakuru.
A few minutes after 7 o'clock, and we're looking at traffic. Different parts of the city this morning. It's coming in heavy on the Thika Superhighway as you get towards Pangani Underpass. But really, that looks like most of it this morning. Njoroge Road is busy getting towards Landis and then out towards the Kamkunji roundabout. Gong Road is starting to pick up with some traffic. And if we look through from the northern bypass out towards Ruaka, traffic coming in from Red Hill, not that much actually. People are moving where they're going and nothing is holding us up today. There's a movement around Cabanas going towards North Airport Road and it's coming out towards the eastern bypass. Some of that going through towards Outer Ring. But again, still slim pickings. Let's see what happens later. For now, I think you'll be able to get where you're going. And the sun is peeking through those clouds, so these are good things. Yay. SpiceFM KE on X. Let's talk there. Keep things moving this morning. The old man has stopped snoring.
This is the Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have CT Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in...
My baby na mabwana, hamujambo. Yeah?
How'd you do?
Hamujambo. Yeah. Na furaha yetu kuwa na nyinyi siku ya leo. Welcome to the second half of Kenya's biggest conversation, live on SpiceFM, on KTN, home on YouTube and on Facebook. The Situation Room is live every weekday morning, 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. Next year, January, school fees. You seen capitation story? Oh, capitation money has reduced. Oh, so therefore, and the cost of living is going up. The cost of unga, the cost of waru, the cost of cabbage, cost of beans is going up.
No githeri.
Yeah. So the cost of maize is going up. That means school heads will have to contend with higher amounts of money that they need to use to feed their children in school. Yeah. And the government sending less in terms of capitation.
And you're going to start asking, where is all of this going to come from? How are we, if there's an increase in school fees, how are we going to pay for it?
Yep.
Well, Kiwi is saying this morning, let's see how we can help a little bit, all right? And they're saying step up and shine. Step up and shine with Kiwi. Another year where you would just have to walk into any supermarket and you would buy any participating Kiwi tin. Remember, look for the one with the fabulous new design. Okay? When you pop the lid, you will see a code. To your code on your tin that you have bought. You will then take your phone and you will dial *459 *5# and you'll input that code and instantly you will win. You will win something. You would win airtime, you would win data, or you also get a chance to enter the draw. Immediate entry into the draw. And the draw is for what? 35,000 shillings. It's a good chunk of change when it comes to school fees, if we're really honest. Yes. And folks could be winning this come January, and it goes directly to school. And 35,000 shillings less of worry, I think, is a great thing. So step up and shine with Kiwi, your trusted partner to protect, shine, and waterproof your shoes, and clearly help you pay fees.
Wet indeed. Speaking of education, KCSE is about to begin. There are those that have been sitting exams in the international curricula, and you're thinking about the next step, which is university admission. And people have just been cracking their head. So getting into the final year of the academic year of my school, of my high school, what do I do next? I need to go to university. People have been wondering what to navigate that whole journey, all right? And there are companies that have come up that, help you to think through that journey, identify your key strengths. All right, so as this student, maybe they do very well with a science course
or an arts course or whatever course, and then what kind of universities locally and abroad would attract such a student. Let's have that conversation. We are joined by Shane Aman Premji. He is a co-founder and the CFO of a company called Cradle. Shane, good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to Kenya's biggest conversation. That's a hot seat of the Situation Room. How does it feel?
You know, at Cradle, a lot of young people around the country put their trust in us to get them to the right place. So our seat is always hot.
Very well said. To welcome you to the conversation, CT has the day's proverb, and you have also come with the day's proverb.
So, to really welcome you, we'll ask you to tell us your proverb which you've come with, and then we will tell you about our proverb which we had before you came in.
Yes.
So,
okay.
Start with you.
Thank you, CT. So I knew that you would bring me a proverb today, so I thought what better way to come prepared than to bring my own African proverb. This one from a country north of us, a country called Morocco. Now, the proverb that I have today is as follows. Instruction in youth is like inscription in stone.
Wow.
Instruction in youth is like inscription in stone.
Ndu,
Yes.
what's your interpretation of this proverb?
Well, seeing as anything cast in stone is essentially forever, if you teach a child, they will stay with that information for the rest of their lives. N'est-ce pas?
Absolutely. Well said.
You see, it's your opinion. You can never be wrong. Ndu.
Look, I'm not asking for validation. I'm just...
We're offering it anyway.
Thank you.
You can never be wrong.
No.
Very good. Very nice.
Lovely proverb, yes.
It's actually a very appropriate proverb for the discussion that we have ahead
It
of
is.
us.
It is.
But let me just muddy the waters a little bit, because the proverb I had for today is a bit dull. Right. The unlucky man's hope prevented him from committing suicide. That's a proverb from the Republic.
It's a positive proverb as well.
From the Republic of Burundi.
The unlucky man's hope prevented him from committing suicide.
Yes. If he had had no hope, he would have succeeded. But because he had hope, he didn't succeed.
He chose not to go the suicide route.
No.
Hope is a
he
good
opted not to.
It's a positive proverb, isn't it?
It's a suicide bit that I consider a bit negative.
It's just the word suicide.
That's suicide.
Yes. It's looking at it tells you have hope.
It does. It does.
Hope is a good thing.
Yes. And if you want to instill that hope, then you want to ensure that you instruct your youth appropriately. Okay.
Instruction in youth.
Yes, that instruction
like
becomes
inscription.
part of their life for the rest of their lives.
Right.
Yes.
What is Cradle, Shane?
Cradle is Africa's largest higher education platform.
Africa's largest higher education platform.
So let me tell you what that actually means.
Yes.
We founded Cradle because we wanted to change the way in which youth and working professionals across the continent chose their higher education journeys. So we wanted to create a new way in which young people and working professionals searched, matched, and applied for universities around the world.
Okay. So platform. What does platform mean?
I think it's a great question. Platform refers to the technology aspect of what we do. So one of the innovations that we came into this market in Kenya with was, for the very first time, creating a single platform or a website, www.cradle.com, where students can go and actually see all of their options in one place and compare those options, whether that option is a college, a university, for undergraduate studies, for postgraduate studies, and then go through that journey and actually do their application online in one single place. That's what the Cradle platform is.
Is it a select number of colleges and universities that are on the platform? And how do those universities get onto the platform?
So we work with more than 300 universities and colleges around the world, in more than 20 countries around the world. And you know what's interesting that we didn't know when we started this business is that universities and colleges from Canada all the way to Australia, from Ghana to Zambia, they want Kenyan students. They desperately want more Kenyan students.
Desperately.
Desperately.
Why?
That's the question, isn't it?
Yeah.
So we've talked to hundreds of universities around the world. And what they tell us is that they see incredible potential in African students. Africa is the largest growing young population in the world. Soon it will be the largest population in the world out of any region. And these universities are smart. They know that in order to survive in the future, they must attract African talent. And what they've seen historically is that when you have Kenyan students on campus, when you have Nigerian students on campus, it improves diversity. It improves the experience for every single person on that campus.
Right. So you say Cradle is Africa's largest platform. That means it's in more than one country?
So today...
And where was it founded?
So Cradle was founded right here in Nairobi, in Kenya. Today we have a large presence in Nigeria. And we have students from more than 10 countries in Africa who have applied to university through us. In the years ahead, you're going to see the name Cradle all across the continent.
So how does this work exactly? When students who are in a respective high school or whatever, what's their first contact with Cradle? And how does the experience then unfold for you to be able to make a selection about where you would go to school? And then what's the walkthrough? Why would a student then get onto the Cradle platform? What exactly does it provide for them?
So we work with more than 100 high schools across the continent, more than 80 in Kenya today. And these are schools that range from international schools to private KCSE schools to some of the top national schools and even extra county schools across the country. Now, what we do with our high school partners is we physically go to the school and we do career talks with the students. We meet with the career counselors and the principal. And then we provide this platform to our partner schools. Now, what does that mean? So step one, a lot of the students we meet, even the ones in Form 4, even the ones in year 12, year 13, they come to us and they ask, what should I study for university? So the first step is understanding who you are as a person, understanding your child, and what is the right career path for them. Now, this is very innovative, and you might be surprised when I say this. I'm talking about career paths, not university. I think in a lot of cases, people think of university as, that next step, the end of the journey of education. At Cradle, we think of it as a means to get somewhere else. So why do you do higher education? Why do you go to university? Usually it's to get a job, to build a career, to provide for your family so that you have hope. And so the first step of this journey is to understand what is the right career path for you. And we use a number of tools, including a psychometric assessment that helps students understand what are the right career paths for them.
What is this assessment? I've heard of many times of psychometric assessments for students. What is it and why is it important?
So the psychometric assessment is really, really important. It's a scientific way in which a student can understand who they are. And the Cradle psychometric assessment is unique because not only does the student understand who they are, but it also provides a match based on who they are to what are the career paths that are best for them. So psychometrics refer to a number of different areas. So there's a personality element. There's an aptitude element. So how good are you with verbal? How good are you with spatial? Spatial is a really important aptitude for if you want to be an architect, for example. But then it also looks at what are your values as a human being? What motivates you in a job? And it puts all of these different factors together and says, here are some career paths that you should explore.
Take us through something. I mean, what are these questions that you'd ask? Or is it tests, exercises? What is it that when a student does these tests, what do they go through? And how does your platform then evaluate them?
So it's not a test, Eric. It's an assessment.
Right.
A big difference.
Okay.
Because it's fun. So this is not like your KCSE
It's not an exam.
exams. It's not an exam. It's an assessment. And when I say it's fun, some of the questions involved are questions about who you are as a person. So one of the questions on this assessment is, on a Friday night, what would you prefer to do? Do you want to stay at home and watch a movie? Do you want to go out with friends? Do you want to spend time with your family? And these are the types of personality and value questions.
You're asking a kid who has never had a choice on what to do with their Friday.
Yeah.
What they'd like to do with their Friday. I mean, this child has, for as long as they've lived so far, been told what to do with their Friday. It's either it's the end of the week, you have assignments before you go to the weekend, can you finish your assignment? Or we have something as a family that we are doing, or we are staying at home. Do they ever have a choice of, I'd like to go out with friends? Do they know that? I mean, so what are they going to answer? Most likely they're going to say, I want to go out with friends because it's a thing I've never done.
And I think that that's a really interesting thing that we found. So more than 2,500 students have done this assessment in Kenya already. And you'd be surprised. A lot of this assessment is about intuition. So psychometrics is about intuition. Not necessarily what did you do last Friday or the Friday before, but when you read this question, what is the first thing that comes to your mind? There's no wrong answer. A lot of students will say, actually, I want to stay home. I want to stay home and watch a movie. I don't want to go out with friends. And that also indicates a certain personality type. And when we combine that with their aptitude, their values, there are certain careers that unfold.
How do you match, essentially, or present the information then to students about which universities are out there and taking on students? And then do you then do a match, or what happens in that process?
So once a student has understood what career path is right for them, and some of our students will come to us and say, I already know. I want to be a lawyer or I want to be a doctor. I don't need to do the assessment. I'm ready to apply to university. Now, these students will come onto our platform and they will see all of the universities and colleges that we partner with and all of the 25,000 plus courses that are available to them. Now, this is where technology comes into play. And this is why we call ourselves a platform, because we use some really interesting technology to help show students the right options based on what they believe and what they look for. So you can filter all of our universities based on a number of different criteria. And over time, we're building more and more criteria, and we're incorporating something called machine learning so that we can make recommendations based on other students who are of a similar profile and who have chosen particular universities.
And how are you finding that universities are also innovating and adapting to make sure that, the needs that students have on this side or on whatever side then are actually met academically?
This is, one of the things that we spend a lot of time on. What is the future of higher education? What's the future of universities and how are they innovating? And I'll tell you a couple of interesting things that we found over the past 2.5 years since starting Cradle. One interesting thing is that historically, if you think about what is a university, it was very much a research-based institution. Then you had this idea of the college, or the TVET as we call it in Kenya, the vocational college that's much more preparing students for a job. Now what's happened is that a lot of international universities have realized that just being a research institution is not enough. That's not what all students want. Many students, including many students from the continent, they're going to university to build their careers. So they want a job-ready university course. So one of the really interesting innovations we've seen is that you have universities now offering courses that used to be college courses. So courses in digital marketing, courses in animation. They're also offering parts of their courses where you actually get job experience during your course. So we have a university in the UK where you can do an internship year in between your studies. And more than 90% of their students do this internship year. And you can earn a salary of up to 3 million shillings in that year in your internship, which helps you pay for your studies.
Okay. What else does it help you do, though, this internship in the middle of education?
A lot more. A lot more. So on the one hand, this internship tells you what is life in this career. What better way to know a job than to actually get a chance to do it while you're studying? But beyond that, a lot of our students tell us that the reason they love the internship year is they get to actually work in these companies and build their networks in the companies. And many times, if they perform well, they end up getting full-time employment when they graduate.
The psychometric tests, psychoanalysis, any test that seeks to understand intelligence, personality, aptitudes, there are those who argue that everything that goes into the findings and the actual operation of these things were tested among white people. Now and then, because of this, they argue that when it comes to Africans, those aptitude tests may not necessarily work. Or if they do work, there is a bias. And that it doesn't actually represent, if let's talk about attitude, an attitude towards a certain situation. If it is a Western concept or a concept by what we refer to as white people, as an African, we may be looking at the same thing, but I'll view it differently. If you're talking about intelligence, now when you talk about intelligence, you open a whole can of worms. Are we talking about emotional intelligence? I mean, you know the path I'm going to. So, yes, psychometric tests do serve a purpose and they do give you clear pointers to it. But how do we know that it caters and it understands the African mind, the African psychology, the African attitude towards things, so that when the test is applied to us, we know, yes, we've been assessed adequately?
This is a good question to ask, because what we find is that a lot of innovations and a lot of technology that comes into Kenya comes from outside. It comes from the West. Cradle is actually built in Kenya, and it's built for Kenya and for Africa. So this psychometric assessment, how do we know it works? I mean, on the one hand, we have more than 3,000 young people in Kenya who have done the assessment, and the vast majority have been thrilled with the results that have come. But I'll take it one step further. The assessment was actually developed in emerging markets, and we've actually taken that assessment and we've tweaked it for the Kenyan context.
Let's talk about the tweaking. I seek to understand. How have we tweaked it?
So one of the things we noticed with psychometric assessments was that some of the language that was being used was language that's not used locally. So you might have a student who is extremely intelligent with very high aptitude when it comes to critical dissection. But if the language being used in a paragraph that you're supposed to analyze is language you've never seen before, then that's not the right way to do it. So that's one of several examples of how we've tried to localize this assessment to make it more relevant for the market.
And for it to be relevant, it means it has been tried and tested, and the results that you speak of perhaps are the proof of this particular concept. Okay, now, if one were to talk about the success rate of a psychometric test, anecdotally speaking, what would we say is the success rate of a psychometric evaluation? Let me not call it a test.
So what defines success for our psychometric assessment? The way that we think about it is, let's start with what problem are we trying to solve? So what problem are we trying to solve with this assessment? The reason we brought this assessment into the market as part of our university offering is because we were going to top schools around the country. We went to Baricho, we went to Alliance High, we went to Kenya High, we went to international schools and private KCSE schools, and we talked to thousands of Form 4 students. And one of the big sentiments that we got from them and their parents was that they were feeling a bit confused about what path to pursue in university. So they were unsure. And there was a lot of anxiety around that. And what they were looking for was some validation on paths that they could pursue. So let me be clear. The psychometric assessment is not to tell a 16 or 17-year-old that you must go into this career and this is the only career for you. The idea is to provide an element of guidance to say, these are some career paths that tend to fit who you are, and here are some resources to pursue them further.
Okay. I like what you've said, because you essentially went to what we call national schools. The national schools are fairly representatives of the communities we have in Kenya. Why didn't you go to some, or did you go to schools in some of the low-income areas or some of the more disadvantaged areas, and some of the, not just far-flung, but far-flung and poverty-stricken areas? Or did you go? I'm assuming, since you didn't mention it, I'm asking, if you did, what then did you find?
We did.
Yes.
We absolutely did. We spent time in extra county schools here in Nairobi, but we also traveled far across the country. And I can relate to you an experience that I had in Meru, meeting with a very interesting school, which is in a low-income community. And you asked, what was the big finding? You know, the big finding for us was that there was a lack of exposure. There was a lack of exposure. There were bright young minds there. There was a lot of talent. There was a lot of passion. Frankly, there may have been even more motivation to change the world and create impact in some of those communities and some of the learners who we met there. The missing element was exposure. Many of them just didn't know what was out there. They didn't have access to some of the information that here in Nairobi seems to be present on billboards and in the newspapers here and talked about. And when we went there, we went to talk about how there are pathways for you to pursue what you want to do. If you want to change the world, here are some of the different university and college programs across Africa and across the world that can help you get there. And if you want proof of this, as you know, Cradle Cup, which is the largest high school pitch competition ever organized, is airing on KTN tomorrow evening. And one of the schools that's there is Kapsabet Girls. And I really encourage everyone listening to watch these girls as they pitch their idea and to see the passion that they bring around their own history, their own story, and why that's inspired them to pitch a business that could solve something that's important for their community.
We'll talk about that then in the next half. It's 29 minutes to 8. We are hosting Shane Aman Premji. He is the co-founder and CFO of Cradle. It's Africa's largest, say again?
Higher education platform.
Higher education platform, where we're talking about higher education after Kenya. Shane should just come out with it and confirm that Kenyans are very intelligent and hardworking, and hence universities across the globe desire to have Kenyan students in their institutions. It's a comment.
Absolutely.
You should have just said it. You should have said it. Come on.
He has just said it.
He has confirmed it.
Yes.
Very, very good. Shane, you know about chai. Chai in Kenya is not just something that you just put in a cup. No, chai in Kenya is from the way you think about it, to the way you brew it, to the way you have it. Right? City, tell him.
You know, when one talks of tea, there are really very many types of teas. You can be told this tea, that tea, the other tea. But the unique thing, you even have tea by colors. But the unique thing about Kenya is there's something called Kenyan tea. When you hear Kenyan tea, usually there's no if and but, and perhaps you're very clear about what it is. It is water, tea leaves, brewed. But that's incomplete. For it to actually be Kenyan tea, it needs milk.
Milk.
And not just milk. You know, there are also many types of milks. Okay? There's low this, high the other, this extracted, this added. But when you're talking about milk that is rich and creamy, you're talking about just one, and that is Dairy Best. Now, when you put Dairy Best into this brew, you then have what we call chai kweli.
Kabisa. Yeah. You connect that, Shane, right?
You see me and you hear my accent and you think I'm a Mzungu, but what you may not know is that my parents, my grandparents, they're from Kenya and Tanzania. So I grew up with Kenyan chai.
You have very Kenyan characteristics. That's why we're sure that you know about Kenyan tea.
We got your number early.
All right, and Brookside is giving away some very beautiful Brookside Dairy Best hampers. Now, what we'd like you to do is go onto our social media on Facebook or on YouTube and tell us your journey of making the best Kenyan tea from the very beginning, from looking for the sufuria, going all the way to putting the tea in the cup. Take us through that process. You know, how do you measure the water? How do you measure the majani chai? How do you measure the milk? At what point do you put the milk? Tell us. And then our social media guy, Ameliota, will pick somebody, and that person will be given a Brookside hamper. Let's be back shortly.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Thank you very much, Eric, and it's good to be at the Situation Room.
Always a pleasure coming here. This is the most challenging interview panel in Kenya. You guys are very well informed, and as you can see, Charles today very philosophical.
To be poor in this country is the greatest sin you can commit, not just from a legal perspective, but from life generally. It is very, very skewed.
We've just heard on the floor of Parliament, just most recently, a leader within the ODM saying that Sisi ni ng'ombe za baba.
Yeah.
Which means that you are willing to be milked dry.
Hapo.
You cannot force me to believe. I'll give way. If it's the land that I'm told to return to you, I will. Okay? Because the court has said so. But I'll continue saying, watu wamenirusha. That's
we love to share our culture and the one language that unites us all. One that helps us start the day and keeps us going. Brookside Dairy Best is part of every celebration and offers a warm welcome to every home.
Karibuni chai.
Na hii ni lugha ambayo kila Mkenya anaelewa. The more the milk, the better the chai. Chai kweli ina Brookside.
All right, so we're looking at cloudy conditions in Nairobi, 16 degrees, highs of 23 and lows of 16, 15 and cloudy in Nakuru and 16 and cloudy in Nyeri. Looking into Eldoret, the sun is up at 14, highs of 23. And in Mombasa this morning, we'll see sunny conditions at 25, going to highs of 30. And Malindi is sunny at 26, going to highs of 31. Kisumu today, sunny at 20, highs of 28. And Kakamega is at 18, going to highs of 27 through sunny conditions. Kampala, cloudy after the rain at 20, highs of 26, and it's raining heavily in Dar es Salaam with highs of 28 and lows of 24. Looking into Mogadishu, it's sunny at 26 with highs of 30, and Addis Ababa at 12 degrees is sunny with highs of 23. There's a haze over Lagos skies at 25, highs of 32, and 10 degrees and sunny in Johannesburg with highs of 21 and lows of 10. It's cloudy at 23 in Kinshasa, highs of 32, back down to lows of 23.
Spice up your life.
All right, so not much in terms of traffic today. It looks like it's going to be an easy Thursday. There are reasons as to why there are no cars on the roads, folks are saying. Please tell me what those are. On the Thika Superhighway, there's still traffic coming into the city. You're going to get towards Wangari Maathai or go towards Moranga Road and you'll be fine. Into the city, through towards the Globe Cinema overpass, you're fine. Kiambu Road is packing up. I guess now is the time that folks are coming out after the rain. Gong Road is busy, then getting out towards Naivasha Road, Riara Road, and then eventually coming out at James Gishuru. Let's keep an eye on that because the last couple of days have been crazy with that traffic crossing over towards the Red Hill Link Road. All right, coming out of Kitisuru, then through towards Limuru Road, continues to be busy, and I think that's just started this morning. So an eye on all things. The Likoni interchange, touching on the Southern Bypass, already bumper to bumper. So let us know how you can get out of it if you're stuck there. We'll share those good routes round. SpiceFM KE on X. Let's keep things moving.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM.
Our conversation
Nairobi.
Continues with Shane Amani Premji. He is the co-founder and CFO of Cradle. We'll shortly be talking about the Cradle Cup and the show that will be airing on KTN tomorrow night. But before that, you said you have a network of over 3,000, is it 3,000 universities from across the world?
We work with more than 300 universities.
300 universities.
But they offer more than 30,000 higher education programs.
All right. How do you identify those universities?
So there's a couple of different ways that we like to do this. One is that, as you know, we're in many of the top high schools around the country. So when we go into these high schools, we talk to the students and we say, you know, what kinds of universities are you interested in? So we had a student in Nairobi who I think, Eric, you'll know, who came to us and said, I'm really interested in design. So we went and researched the best design universities around the world that were looking for students from Africa. We approached them and we said, look, we have incredible talent here. Let's work with you.
So that's how you do it. Many people, when they think about now, you know, universities abroad, they're also thinking, all right, it's going to be expensive. How can we take advantage of what we have? Can we get scholarships and all?
Do your partners offer scholarships?
So there's an incredible quote I heard. Some might say it's a proverb. The proverb goes, if you think education is expensive, try ignorance. So the first thing I want to say is that education can be expensive. And we believe, just like millions of Kenyans around the country believe, that it is a very wise investment into the future of our youth and the future of ourselves. Let's remember that higher education is not just for young people. We place a number of working professionals into master's and postgraduate programs around the world. But when it comes to the question of scholarships, the simple answer is yes. We have universities from different parts of the world who are so excited about welcoming Kenyan students onto their campuses that they've offered us scholarships you will never believe. And I think this is the power of information. This is the power of a platform. One of our fundamental beliefs is that the way to change this market is to make information freely available. It doesn't matter if you're in Meru or in Kisumu or in Nairobi. You shouldn't have to come into an office and look at brochures to have this information. You, from your mobile phone, you go to the website and you can see it all there for you.
Is there a hand-holding process? Somebody gets onto the site, or is it pretty, you can navigate
get onto the
easily.
site and
get onto the site and you say, well, there's the school that I'm looking for, apply for a scholarship, and, bang, there you go. Or do you need some hand-holding to make sure that you're doing things right? Throwing out the elements of frustration in terms of, am I doing this the correct way? And then is everybody who gets on that site looking for something guaranteed to find something?
So this is the future that we're building towards. We want this platform to be so self-service that a student can come on and find everything they're looking for, find the journey from start to finish, and be able to apply to university. But we also realize that there is a great power in having supporters and having experts to guide you along the way. So we have a team of admissions counselors. Now, these individuals are experts in universities, in applications and scholarships, in careers in some cases, and they can help students end to end with this process. And that process includes scholarships. And I think, Eric, to your question, do international universities offer scholarships? When you come to Cradle, what we really focus on is what can we do for our students? And one of those things is to secure scholarships. So we have universities in Europe, one where we've had 6 students attend in the last 4 weeks. And in this university, the tuition fee is it has a 70% scholarship for Kenyan students. So there's a 70% scholarship. These students are paying less than 300,000 shillings per year for tuition fees. We have another university in Germany, and this is the largest private university in Germany, highly ranked. They're offering a 67% scholarship for Kenyan students. So that normal tuition fee is 15,000 euros per year. For Kenyans, after this scholarship, and this applies beyond Kenya, this is for all of our colleagues across Africa, we've been able to secure a scholarship. So that fee comes down to 850,000 Kenyan shillings a year. Now, this is unheard of for a top international university, but this is the power of having a platform and of bringing information to the masses.
How does one qualify for this scholarship? Is it just simple application and then as long as you've been admitted, you get automatic scholarship?
Some of these universities offer automatic scholarships. So if you are an African student and if you apply and you meet the deadlines, you receive the scholarship. Other universities have merit-based and need-based scholarships. And in some cases, those scholarships actually apply for the entire 3 or 4 years of your undergraduate journey, or the entire 1 or 2 years of your postgrad journey, as long as you keep up a particular grade point average.
There's an interesting requirement that very many top universities or universities in the West have. It's to fill what you call a diversity quota, because there's need for them to have an international outlook, meaning representative. So it's not just people from one part of the continent or one part of the universe or the globe, but it's from... When this is considered, do students who come from the African continent have a better go at it simply because they come from this continent, Are they given preferential treatment, or are they given affirmative benefits simply because they come from Africa?
You know, most of the universities who we work with, they keep the entry requirements the same. Whether you are a KCSE student in Kenya, whether you have passed your WIAC exam in Nigeria, or whether you're a domestic student. But having said that, I think you're absolutely right with this diversity quotient. There is a need to bring on board more and more African students. And as a result, sometimes our university partners tell us that even if a student doesn't meet the exact requirements that we publish, please bring them to us if they're excellent students, because we want excellent students.
How much does it cost to get onto the Cradle platform? Or is there a cost? Or is it, anybody who wants to get on can get on?
So anybody who wants to get on the Cradle platform right now can go to cradle.com, CRAYDEL.com, and they can start looking for universities, and they can make their application onto the platform. Now, in the schools that we work with, we do charge a small fee to work with those schools in order for the students to go end-to-end from the psychometric assessment all the way to the application. We've actually dramatically discounted those fees this year, because we didn't want the fee to be a barrier. So that fee is less than 1,000 shillings per student as a lifetime value to use the Cradle platform.
So you pay 1,000 shillings and you can keep applying, you can keep looking, getting information that you need throughout as long as you would need to.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So
now,
the 1,000 shillings works like a membership fee.
You could say it works like a membership fee.
A family membership fee or personal membership fee?
A personal membership fee.
Okay.
But I see where you're going.
Yes. Well, let me add on to it. So is there a fee for family members and friends? That in Kenya, we have to ask those questions.
You do.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you have family members and friends, come to Cradle. We'll have a discussion. And I'll say that, along the journey, there are various fees. You have to pay fees for the application to the university. In some cases, we've actually negotiated with universities to waive that fee. So we've said, don't charge a fee for our students who are applying.
Yeah.
We have to apply for a study visa. So in that case, we do charge a fee to our students to help them end-to-end through this process. And of course, the embassy has their own fees depending on the country. But what we try to do is to really focus on how can we offer the experience that is better than anybody else in the market. And that's better than you just doing it yourself at home.
Indeed. All right. So do you ever get this question in terms of backlash, whereby essentially what's happening here is that there are hundreds of African students who are leaving Africa, and then there is the potential, and this is huge in terms of, brains, expertise, skills, talent, that would essentially leave Africa, and the chance of them getting work in those countries where they've gone to school is also high. Chances of them returning to invest those skills and talent here then is less. So do you get any backlash in terms of aiding brain drain?
Now I'm on the hot seat. Now this is the real hard-hitting conversation I came to talk about. And I don't even think we have enough time to have this entire conversation, but let me give you a couple of thoughts around this idea of brain drain. Let me start with my own story. So my story begins 50 years ago, because that was the point at which my grandparents decided that they wanted to send their kids to Canada, primarily to get an education. My parents ended up going to university in Toronto. They actually met in that university. They got married in that university. A number of years later, my sister and I were born. And what happened in that next generation?
You went to Canada.
No, he was already in Canada.
I was already in Canada. I was born in Canada.
You studied in Canada.
I studied in Canada. And then what happened? Where am I today?
Kenya.
I'm here in Kenya.
You're back here.
And what did my sister do after her undergraduate degree? She came back to Kenya. And both of us decided that we wanted to use that education. We wanted to use those sacrifices that our parents and grandparents made to create an impact back home. So this is something that I tell a lot of our students who are going abroad. I tell them that it is their choice what life they choose for themselves. They need to make that decision themselves. If they're going to Canada, if they're going to the UK, they can absolutely do their undergraduate degree or postgraduate degree, live in that country, work in that country, build a good life. If they have the openness to it, I challenge them to think about, could they come back? And many of our students do come back. They're going to get the education actually to come back and bring those skills back to the country, back to the continent. And I challenge them and I say, would you be open to coming back? Take what you learn and implement it here. And some of them say, no, we want to live abroad. We want that kind of life. And then I tell them, don't be surprised if your next generation, God willing, if you have kids, they might decide to go back and leave you there and say, we want to connect with our roots. We want to use what we've learned to build real change in this country.
You know what is of interest is that even as there is the quest for people to return back to the countries they go to are also vigorously trying to retain them. Because many Western countries, unfortunately, have an aging population. And so the need to have younger people into the country is actually an active quest that they have. They pursue people who already have graduated, but it is better if somebody actually studies there, gets to understand the place, and then actually settles there. Now, this is my question. Everything you're explaining, because you explain it so simply and so eloquently, it's easy to understand. But I don't think it is easy to get to a point where you have partnerships with universities where they trust your processes to the point where you can achieve what you're telling us that you do. How did you get to this point where universities abroad and universities of excellent repute actually entrust the processes that lead to their institutions to cradle? How did you get there?
Sometimes, CT, we ask ourselves that same question. And we ask some of our early university partners, why did you trust us? And some of the things that they tell us is that given our backgrounds, so the Cradle team is extremely diverse. The founding team of Cradle is from 3 different countries, 3 different universities, 3 different backgrounds, 3 different skill sets. And the entire team at Cradle has actually studied abroad in various different countries, from Canada to France to Ireland to the Netherlands, Sweden, India, Uganda. I can go on. So we have experience of what it's like to be an international student. We've been in Kenya. I've lived in Kenya for almost 10 years. My co-founder Manish, the same. My third co-founder John is Kenyan. So we understand this market. We have a lot of relationships in this market. And we were able to very quickly prove that our ideas on how to do this entire process differently were proving true. But I think the most important question is not why did the universities trust us? It's why did the students trust us? Why did the parents trust us?
And what's the answer to that?
You can ask them. You can ask them. And when we do often, and what they tell us is that the experience that we've given them is so much better than what they ever expected. So on the one hand, we help them discover things they never even knew existed. Universities, courses, scholarships. On the other hand, we actually showed care, not just in matching them to a university, but also in what their personal journey was. So where did they want to go? Why did they tell us they wanted to study psychology? Did they just see a TV program, or were they really interested? We've actually told students who have said, we want to study this path, we've said, actually, we're not ready to do an application with you because we're not sure that you really understand what it means to do this. So go and do a little bit more research on this. Here are some resources. Come back to us in a week, and then let's talk.
The question then that comes to mind is this. As an organization, what would you say your organization is? Is it a non-governmental organization, a not-for-profit organization, a self-help organization?
A social enterprise.
Social enterprise. Okay, I've run out of things. What would you...
You ran out of things, but you missed the most important thing.
I was waiting for you to fill it in.
So we are a technology startup.
Yes.
We are a for-profit business.
Yes.
My personal belief and the belief of our founding team is that there's incredible work you can do starting an NGO or building a social enterprise. But to really create scale and to really create change, we wanted to build a business that was actually sustainable. And sustainable means that it makes enough money to cover its costs. And it's a business that international investors are willing to invest in because we want to grow and we want to grow and we want to grow and we want to serve more and more students across the continent.
Very well said. Cradle Cup. So there's a show that's coming up on KTN tomorrow night. Tell us about it.
So Cradle Cup is very innovative, and we're so excited about this. We were trying to do Cradle Cup for years, and we found the right partner in Ireland, a college called Griffith College, which is a very prestigious higher education institution. Cradle Cup is the largest ever competition organized between high schools in Kenya. And I say it's the largest ever because of the prizes that are available. So what we did earlier this year is we went out to all of the high schools we could get to in Kenya, and we said we wanted you to create teams of 3 to 4 students and pitch an idea, a very important idea, to solve kind of a problem that is in society today. We were blown away. We had more than 350 students apply from hundreds of schools around the country. And then we took those submissions to some of the top venture capital investors in the country. We took them to some of the top business schools in the US. And we said, let's review all of these submissions and let's choose the top ones. So earlier this year, we announced the top 50 finalists. And there was a really incredible, diverse group that made it to the top 50. We had a People's Choice Award. And one of the top national schools in the country, Kenya High, had a team that won the People's Choice Award. But the Cradle Cup itself is actually the top 5, pitching on TV to a panel of expert judges on their business idea. So that is airing tomorrow evening on KTN Home. And that competition is a very, very big deal because the winning team will win full scholarships for their entire undergraduate degrees at Griffith College in Ireland.
Oh, that's nice. And what happens to their ideas?
Now, this is the interesting thing. When we started this competition, we said, we'll have this business pitch, and that will be the end of it. And hopefully the university or college that they go to, Griffith, will help them further develop it. Griffith is very well known for entrepreneurship. What ended up happening? We had students who actually developed their own ideas, who actually started to commercialize their ideas, who started to talk to their customers about these ideas. And without our intervention, this is really speaking to the power of the youth in this country. They've already started down the path of building these ideas.
Oh, nice. So is there any guarantee that any of these 5 finalists, the ones who the 50 finalists, the 5 who are on the show, they get an investment for their idea in addition to winning a scholarship?
So the primary prize for this Cradle Cup is the scholarship. And the idea is that all of these students are in high school right now. So they will get some encouragement from the school itself, from the college as they go to the college to further develop these ideas. But the real focus now is for them to think about, do they want to, study abroad? What does that journey look like for them? And when they go there, what types of programs do they want to study? And does that link to the businesses that they want to build? Or has this experience just taught them that there are so many different ideas out there that they can pursue, and they want to actually take the feedback that the judges gave and change those ideas or pursue other ideas in the course of their young careers?
What time does it air tomorrow?
So the Cradle Cup airs at 7:30 p.m. tomorrow on KTN Home.
On KTN Home. How long is it?
And it's an hour and a half. So it's a 90-minute show. We have some special guests who flew all the way to Kenya to be on the TV show. We won't tell you who they are, but I will say that there was representation from the embassy in Ireland, who was very much represented throughout the competition.
Oh, nice. Well, something to look out for. Tomorrow, 7:30 p.m. on KTN Home, the Cradle Cup. And also, if you'd like to go onto this platform and start browsing and see what you can do, cradle.com, cradel.com. All right? And then you go and get all the universities. And I've seen there's also a number there. If you'd like to call and talk to somebody, you can call and talk to someone, and they can walk you through the journey of thinking for or about your next journey in education, not just for high schoolers, but also if you're thinking postgraduates. Thank you very much for joining us, Shane.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure.
Kabisa. 8 a.m. Time for the news. Good morning.
Spice up your life.
Good morning, this is Nixo. I'm Dennis Aseto. Multi-agency teams manning major border points met to review the state of security in the country amid a surge of crime. The meeting, chaired by Interior Principal Secretary Raymond Omolo, emphasized, among other things, the need to incorporate transboundary resources in border management and status updates on the establishment of new approved points of entry and exit. It also called for continued engagement under the multi-agency framework between agencies on integrated border management. Now, the Kenya Medical Practitioners, Pharmacist and Dentist Union has filed a contempt of court case against Nairobi Hospital CEO James Nyamongo. This comes after KMPDU on August 24, 2023 obtained court orders directing Nyamongo to recognize the union as it represents a significant number of Nairobi Hospital employees. Employment and Labor Relations Court Judge Matthews Nduma, in his ruling, also directed the two parties to negotiate and execute a recognition agreement within 30 days. The National Assembly's Finance and Planning Committee has summoned senior management of the Kenya Revenue Authority over its latest bid to institute taxation measures on personal or household items, whether new or used, being brought into the country. The committee expressed alarm by complaints lodged on social media of alleged harassment of tourists by KRA officials who demand tax from anyone bringing in items worth $500 and above, while acknowledging that KRA was within its rights under the East Africa Community Customs Management Act of 2010. The committee chairperson said a review of the law is necessary. And the Federation of Women Lawyers in Kenya has come out to defend embattled Meru Governor Kawira Mwangaza following her recent impeachment. In a statement, FIDA Kenya chairperson Nancy Ikenu raised concerns about the troubles battling the first-time governor, instead pledging their support and consequently offering legal representation at the Senate and the courts. FIDA cited the 2022 general election agenda of promoting the two-thirds gender rule in favor of women, saying that the move to oust Kawira goes against women's rights to hold positions of power. Now, the Kenya Meteorological Department says the ongoing rains being witnessed across the country will intensify from today. Now, the weatherman in an advisory said heavy rainfall of more than 300 millimeters in 24 hours is likely to continue between tomorrow and Sunday. The rains are expected to reduce Monday. The counties set to experience the heavy downpour include Nairobi, Mombasa, Marsabit, Mandera, Wajir, Garissa, Isiolo, Samburu, Turkana, Embu, Nyeri, Kiambu, Nyandarua, Laikipia, Murang'a, Meru, Kirinyaga, Tharaka Nithi, Busia, Kisii, and Nyamira. And the Kenya Airports Authority has unveiled new electric commuter bus routes from Jomo Kenyatta International Airport to several key locations in Nairobi. This was in partnership with Metrotrans East Africa Limited and Supermetro Limited. KAA said the move to launch electric commuter buses showcases dedication to innovation, sustainable transportation and improved passenger services. The Principal Secretary of the State Department for Transport, Mohammed Dagat, highlighted the advantages of the electric buses. Dagat said electric buses have environmental benefits, are cost-effective and have quiet operations, which create a more peaceful atmosphere for both passengers and airport staff. And residents of Koru in Kisumu County accounting losses running into hundreds of thousands of shillings following an invasion by monkeys over the last 3 months. According to residents, the monkeys have not only destroyed crops but have also posed a security threat to young children, with domestic animals also suffering the wrath of the mammals. The typical morning for 70-year-old Pilgona Were for the last 3 months has been using a sling to drive monkeys out of her farm. The broken stems of maize and beans on her farm paint the dire situation, pressing residents of Limtidi village. And the Marsabit High Court sentenced a 24-year-old man to jail for 7 years for theft. Adan Gulume, appearing before Magistrate Simon Arome, pleaded guilty to charges of stealing foodstuff and other valuables from a local wholesale shop. The court was informed that the suspect was also found with a laptop and various flavors of soft drinks stolen from Gori's Good Wholesale shop located in Marsabit town. His co-accused Shigoro Shano, another suspect who had also been linked to the theft, however denied allegations leveled against him. Gori's Good Wholesale took them to court. I'm Dennis Aseto. Good morning.
102.5 Spice FM, Kisumu.
All right, starts late, but it's a start in terms of traffic. This is what's happening. It's heavy coming off Langata Road now and touching on Huru Highway, and then coming off Thika Superhighway in from the Outer Ring Junction, heavy through towards the CBD, but we're fine on Kiambu Road, at least for now. Traffic seems to have disappeared there. All right, if you're coming then off Gong Road, getting on to Riara Road, Gitanga Road, and then in through towards James Gishoro, that's already heavy and it's spilling over towards Waiaki Way. And there's traffic then going out through to Red Hill, and all of that very busy right about now. Uhuru Highway is busy, taking in traffic from Langata Road and also coming in from Lusaka Road all the way through to the CBD. Now is when we see it, and it's heavy in different parts. A few minutes after 8 o'clock, let's take a look in another half hour and see how things have settled. The rain might be back and it's going to slow things down. An eye on things is what we'll keep. SpiceFM KE on X. Let's keep things moving and talk there.
This is the Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have CT Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up,
7 minutes
not
after 8,
down.
we are on to the third hour of the Situation Room, and thank you very much for always choosing the Situation Room as the way to start your day. Whether you're still at home, whether you're at work, whether you're on your way to work, whether you're going to bed, wherever you are across the globe, this is Kenya's biggest conversation. And the conversation not only happens talking about, policy, governance, education and all, it also is on how you can win and win big. Like 35,000 shillings, big.
Yeah. And it won't go into your pocket so that you don't take Fuliza and go to the bar. What we're talking about now is that the money would go directly to paying school fees. And you can do this with Kiwi when they say step up and shine. Now, step up and shine how? Well, like this. You go to any supermarket and you will then purchase a tin of kiwi in the fabulous new design. And then you will find a code under the lid. You will then dial *459*5# and you will insert that code and you could win a number of things. You could win airtime, you could win data, and you're automatically entered into the draw for you to possibly win 35,000 shillings. There'll be weekly winners. Please do this because you know what it does? It then gives you money to put into school fees in January next year. I mean, already you're looking at where is it going to come from. Here's one place where it could. So Kiwi is a trusted partner to protect, shine and waterproof your shoes. Let's do it. Let's get it on. Let's get that airtime. Let's get that data. Let's get those school fees with Kiwi.
Oh yes, indeed. We're now joined by Dr. Architect Daniel Manduku. He is the Member of Parliament for Nyeri Masawa constituency. He's our guest this morning. Good morning.
Morning, good morning, and thank you once again.
It's good to have you again on the hot seat of the Situation Room.
It's always my pleasure to come back here. And I look forward to many more interactions.
Very good.
Thank you.
We always have conversations with Dr. Architect Manduku on very many things. He's a Member of Parliament. He was the founder, boss of the National Construction Authority. He has been the boss at the Kenya Ports Authority and many other places. He is an architect by profession. So conversations, many. City has the day's proverb. City has proverbs every week. And every week's proverbs are from a different country. This week, the proverbs are from the Republic of
Burundi.
Mheshimiwa, what's the capital city of Burundi?
Capital city of Burundi is Bujumbura. And as an architect, I worked there 20 years ago, so I know it pretty well.
So you built it?
I built Bujumbura, Kigali, and a bit of Kampala.
Very good. Now there's another one. There's another capital. We're calling it Githeri. What is that capital city?
The political capital called Gitega.
Gitega.
Yes. You would know where Gitega is. Yes. No. Because Bujumbura is the economic capital.
Okay.
I mean, do you think it's time we also had a political capital and economic capital? Because Nairobi seems to be the one-stop shop.
Too congested, eh?
Yes. Economic hapo ndani, political hapo ndani, kila kitu hapo ndani.
Administrative.
The Nigerians did it. The Tanzanians did it.
South Africans have done it.
South Africans have Pretoria and Cape Town.
It's your law.
It's your law.
Dodoma and Dar es Salaam.
Dar es Salaam. We have Abuja and Lagos. So it's possible.
It's your law.
Good place.
Will be the
Not
administrative.
Kisii.
The Americans have done it.
Kisii is good.
Yeah.
Land problem.
Kisii is good, he said.
It's very good. Land problem. Land.
Yeah.
You need a lot of land.
Need land.
And we don't want to go around displacing people. Yes.
Or plants.
Yes.
Okay, the proverb city.
Right. The unlucky man's hope prevented him from committing suicide.
The unlucky man's hope prevented him from committing suicide. Mheshimiwa, what do you make of this proverb? What's your interpretation?
I think it is about looking forward and hoping that the next day will be better than yesterday.
Hope keeps you alive.
It does, actually.
Literally.
It trumps almost anything.
And that is what we preach as politicians.
I thought you were going to say pastors. I was going to say, wait.
No,
we're crossing lines.
We tell you that we shall do this for you tomorrow.
For all you know, the good architect here may be an elder.
It's possible.
It's very possible. Depending on the inclination of his faith.
It
could be elder.
That's true.
Mheshimiwa, there's a lot that's happening in the country, and there's all these questions. How is our economy faring? Our shilling is losing its value to major global currencies, like on a daily basis. There's a story now today in the Business Daily where, looking at the supplementary budget that's before you in Parliament, our debt servicing costs have gone up by 216 billion shillings on account of the weakening shilling. Just that alone, 216 billion shillings more that we need to cough up to pay for our debt. Look at the price of fuel going up. Look at the cost of living going up. What's happening?
Eric, I think as a country, we have not gotten our economic fundamentals right for a long time. It's only last week when I heard the Deputy President of Ghana saying that the true value of your currency against the dollar will show your economic strength. And the shilling now getting its true value shows that we've been doing monkey business with our economy for a long time. It doesn't add up because even the governor of Central Bank himself confirmed that the previously thought value of our shilling was artificial, that it had been shored up in the last regime. And now it is time for the shilling to find its own value in the market. Of course, I sit in the Committee on Public Debt, and I can tell you that we are not in a good position because 70% of what we collect in taxes is supposed to service our debt. And when you look at this debt, when it was taken, if it had been applied to the critical sectors, then we would have had a very sparring economic activity and hence growth. And therefore repayment would not be a problem. But this debt was taken and used on some infrastructure projects which may not have had a direct impact on the common person.
Okay.
Furthermore, it was not equitably distributed. And debt has to have a sense of equity. So you find that some regions benefited more than others. And so we are watching and wondering, because as you know, we've been told that we are not shareholders. We in Azimio are not shareholders, so we are watching from the window. But more than that, we are also giving government some advice. The only way we can get out of this is to go back to the basics. The president himself told us that he's going to focus on 5 areas. Agriculture, job creation, ICT, health,
housing.
And housing. We need to see an agenda that is focused on those areas. And it has to be a deliberate agenda.
Aren't we seeing that?
If we are seeing it, we are not seeing the benefits. 1 year is too long a time to wait now. It is time we started reaping benefits. The housing agenda, yes, we've been told it's coming on. We're waiting. I wish it had started about 3-4 months ago. Then we'll be seeing some activity which can spur economic growth.
Okay.
Our biggest problem, and it goes back to the gross domestic product formula, is that we are not able to consume. Because we must consume and invest for us to grow our GDP.
Please explain that a little bit more so that we can understand. Consume and invest.
The focus for this government has been on production, which is perfect. But then, even after we produce, majority of the people are not able to consume. Why? Because we don't have the disposable income. And to grow our GDP, 2 things must be in place. 1 must be investment. 2 must be consumption. We should be encouraging consumption so that what we produce can be consumed.
Okay.
That is why if you go to the market in Kisii today, in the evening, mamas go back with hordes of tomatoes, avocados, and bananas, which they are not able to sell. Not because we are not producing, it's because there are no people to consume.
Or that
go
the
to
people
our
who are
supermarkets.
available don't have the purchasing,
power.
Okay.
Go to supermarkets today, the shelves are full of bread and flour. Why are they not moving? Because we don't have consumption. How do we increase consumption? 1, we must look at the regime of taxation. Because any extra coin that you save by getting a tax rebate will obviously go into consumption. Number 2, government must spend. This myth of pending bills and money that has not been paid must also be put out in the market. If government spends, there is a tax rebate and there's access to credit, then consumption goes up. And if consumption goes up, economy grows or expands. That is why in America today, if you're employed as a waiter and you earn, for argument's sake, say 50,000 shillings equivalent, you're given 4 credit cards and you're able to borrow up to 2 million shillings because they want you to consume. In this country, we don't have access to credit. And we must make the middle class have access to disposable income. Even me, as a member of parliament now, I look at the coins. I mean, what am I buying? 10 years ago, I never cared. Why? Because we are getting less and less money at our disposal. And it gets worse as you go down the pyramid. The other thing we need to address, Mr. Latiff, we have been very traditional in our approach to agriculture. No matter what you do, a coffee bag will only sell for so much.
Yeah.
We need to go to the other level of value addition. What is so mythical about Starbucks? Because the money is always made upstream, not downstream. So our farmers will still get the $100, $200 maximum per bag. But the guy in Starbucks, from the same bag, will reap $15,000. What is it that we are not doing as a country to value add? And on basic commodities like coffee, tea. If you go to London today, they have what they call a tradition, they call London high tea.
Yes.
A cup of London tea, which is Kenyan tea, is £30 plus a small scones. Why? Because they took it from Kenya, repackaged it, maybe blended with some tea from Sri Lanka, and sell it for £30.
600 shillings. Yeah.
And you wonder, what is so mythical about this? And so the government should move from talking and do real agro-processing.
What's it going to take? Mheshimiwa, I think some of the things you're saying, great value, And we often ask ourselves, what's the point about talking about some of these things if we continue to put ourselves in this, it's a cycle of we talk about it and wait for something to happen. But I think it's important to highlight a number of these things, because then you start to have an eye on what things should look like or what you can do. What would be the thing that would unlock some of these things? Because we keep saying it should be. This is how it ought to be. It should look like this. But there seems to be something, and it really doesn't matter what side of the political divide you are on. There's got to be something that unlocks this locked door that would lead us. We had an energy conversation a couple of weeks ago, and we looked at the energy consumption in South Africa compared to the energy consumption in Kenya. The energy consumption in Kenya is significantly lower because of one thing. It's manufacturing. South Africa is manufacturing. There's local production that's going on. So this thing that you're talking about. And so maybe it's a blessing in disguise, because what kind of energy is Kenya producing in order to have manufacturing up there? So the question is, what needs to happen to unlock it? Is it just implementation? Because we cry about implementation of policy all the time. We say, okay, is it corruption? We're not putting the money in the right place. We say, okay, like you've talked about debt. We're not taking the money that should be used for development and using it for development. We're using it for other things. What is that key?
I'll answer that question from a personal experience point of view. In my other life, I'm a consultant. And a couple of investors come to my desk and they seek for investment licenses. I have a scenario where I made an application to the county of Mombasa in 2020 for a gas plant. 2020. We're in 2023. I have never got the license.
Oh, we're still waiting. Okay.
I'm still waiting. Okay. I'm giving you an example.
Are you going through the process, or are you still at stage number 1?
I think I've done 14 steps. There's only one step remaining 3 years later. And yet the president talks about affordable gas.
What's that final step?
I'll give you an example.
Another example.
I have another project where I got all the licenses until the NEMA license. Everything on board. Then some cartels go to the tribunal. The same people, every time you do the same project, go to the tribunal. What am I saying? Ease of doing business. We have got 16 licenses.
What do they go to tell the tribunal? I'm curious.
Or public participation, or basically they're wasting time to discourage investment. And true enough, they have discouraged investment.
To what end?
Walk to Tanzania today and say you want to establish a gas plant. I can challenge you. In 3 months, you have everything. Go to Rwanda. You want to start a farm, agro-processing farm. In 1 week, you have all the licenses. Come to Kenya. In 3 years, you have 15 licenses out of 17. And then they say, we are on a digital platform. Why do I have 16 licenses in my factory? I have a small manufacturing plant myself. I have 16 licenses. You ask yourself, why? Why can't they do them back end? And have one, consolidate them. Same with the construction sector. For you to build in Nairobi, you need 10 licenses.
10?
Why?
Yes. Ease of doing business. That is one area that we can unlock. An investor will not wait for 3 years when he has options. And these are used for rent seeking. Either the governors, the people in the office, where it's rent seeking. And so we have discouraged external investment. Our policies are very good on paper, yes. Wait until you apply for a license. And I'm telling you this from personal experience. The second thing that we need to do, and I'm saying it again, government must spend. And pending bills must be paid. And if government has no money for pending bills, they can look for an instrument in the market.
Well, should we describe when we say government must spend, so we can understand? Because as we can all see, government is spending, flying all over the place, doing things.
Well, spend in the right places.
Exactly. So clarify, when you say government must spend.
We must prioritize our spending. If our focus is on agriculture, we must focus and spend our money in agriculture for production, for value addition. If our priority is agriculture, we must prioritize in sectors that give us results. Not spend money in what you're calling traveling and other things.
You see, I'm thinking about all those things that you're saying, and I'm looking back at what the government has done, what budgets that you approved. You're about to approve a supplement to debate a supplementary budget, Agriculture is getting extra funding in the supplementary budget, on top of what they got in the original budget. Why? Because we're talking about, the subsidy for inputs. You are talking about post-harvest management, thinking about the dryers and all, and the silos and construction of silos. That's spending, isn't it?
That's very good. That is perfect.
Okay.
I think we need to spend a bit more on that. What is coming out is that even what we are putting is not enough.
It's not sufficient.
It's not sufficient.
But there's no money. Where are you going to get the extra money from?
One way is to go PPP way. Who says that government must spend on off budget? Go the public-private partnership way. And again, remove the barriers. In this country, since we started talking about PPP, I think we've only had one successful project. There are thousands of proposals lying on the tables of the treasury mandarins in charge of PPP. And again, you ask yourself, why is it taking so long to approve such projects? And these projects are cutting across sectors: agriculture, energy, ICT. Same problem. We are not easy to do business with. And it comes to the personal characters of the people involved. Because policy is clear, but when it comes to actual follow-up, it becomes a problem. Sometimes you must look for the minister, to look for the PS, to look for the DG to get a license. But how many Kenyans can do that?
And why should someone look for a
And why should you do that when the rules are very clear?
But then it means that if the DG and all these people you mentioned help, then it means they themselves are part and parcel of the problem. Because everybody who is supposed to issue those licenses work in their respective ministries, parastatals, etc., etc., etc. Are we saying that because you have to go to those levels to get something as simple as a license, which is actually your right, that they do not know that this is happening and that they are not cracking the whip to ensure it happens?
From where I sit, I think it's deliberate. How else would you explain that all these things we talk about are well known and nothing happens about it? I think the president must be deliberate with this. I can assure you today, if you go to cabinet ministers' desks, there are thousands and thousands of pending proposals for investment. There are thousands and hundreds of pending licenses. I can assure you that.
Why must those things end up in a cabinet secretary's desk?
I think our structure is such that it's a pyramid, and that we are very bureaucratic by nature.
Pyramid as in, or is it an inverted pyramid?
Well, and so
Starting
most things
bottom,
are decided at the executive level. And I have a proposal, by the way, in Parliament, and I hope it will come law, where we have a one licensing regime, single window licensing for everything. And if that proposal goes through, then you'll see a lot of things being unlocked on account of ease of doing business. We used to have presidential roundtables in the last regime on ease of doing business, and we would discuss these things openly. And somehow things would move after the meeting. Then after some time again, we go back to the same story. If you talk to CAM, Kenya Association of Manufacturers, where I'm a member, we have these frustrations.
So are we saying, essentially, Mheshimiwa, just from the top layer, if some of these things were to be fixed, then what I'm hearing you say is that significant reduction of the non-performance in terms of development then could be realized?
Definitely. That I can assure you. The investors who come here, they want to have a meeting with, say, CS for a particular ministry, and mainly for what we call investor confidence. And the guys can wait for up to a week in the hotel. And you see the minister attending a church service. You see him going for a political rally. An investor will need only 30 minutes of your time, Mr. CS. What he wants is confidence that I met the CS and I was assured that my investment will work. We've had a couple of them coming, they meet the minister for 5 minutes at JKIA when he's on transit. I have practical experience I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I have met a minister myself with an investor at Wilson for 3 minutes. The guy tells me I'm flying out, come to Wilson Airport. 3 minutes, standing. And you go back to Turkey. This is not a simple guy. This is a guy who runs a shipyard. He wants to come and invest in shipbuilding.
Why would an investor just want to meet a minister?
Confidence.
But why?
It is the nature of the Asian people that when they do business, they want to look at your eye and say, I want to do business with you. That is the nature.
Okay, but why
And
minister?
it has nothing to do with, well, the
Why not
highest,
PS?
the highest decision-making person in the sector is a minister.
So we have to say that if you were to do business in their countries, you
will
will
also go and meet the ministers.
And you'll meet the minister.
and look the minister in the eye.
Let's take a break. It's 29 minutes to 9. Let's take this break. We call it the Brookside Dairy Best break. Time for us to have some chai from Nyeri. You people are good with tea, senor.
We're very good with tea.
Uh-huh.
We're also very good with ugali and matoke.
How to make the best tea? City. Just remind Mheshimiwa.
Right. Let's start with tea leaves. Not difficult to buy. Let's start with something most households have, scholar sufuria. Let's start with water, something that we can easily access. Fire, boil it. Then, when it starts bubbling and that water turns brown and gets to dark brown and some other colors that are close to brown, you add water. Then let it boil with that water. Now, milk. Good. This is a class that is paying attention. Yes. Very good. Well done, students. Okay? Well done.
Nice save.
Thank you. Once you boil this mixture, you have this unique concoction that we refer to as Kenyan tea.
You forgot sugar.
Oh, no.
Oh, you must boil the water first.
Yes,
Then you add the milk.
I have mentioned a process. You want to ensure that the tea gets to actually be absorbed into that water. Then you add the milk. You let it boil again, okay? So now that mixture is complete. Thereafter, you want to ask yourself, and I'm talking about milk really, how do I get the best out of this tea? Now that's where dairy-based comes in, because with dairy-based, it's just not tea, it's chai, it is rich, it is creamy, and it is kweli. Kenyan tea.
Bas. That's it. And you're asking the question this morning, how do you make your Kenyan tea? Give us your process. Go onto our social media platforms, SpiceFM KE on Twitter, on Facebook, and on YouTube. Amilioto is going to pick one person to win a Dairy Best hamper.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
We love to share our culture and the one language that unites us all. One that helps us start the day and keeps us going. Brookside Dairy Best is part of every celebration and offers a warm welcome to every home.
Karibuni chai.
Na hii ni lugha ambayo kila Mkenya anaelewa. The more the milk.
All right, it's cloudy in Nairobi. The rain still coming down in parts at a drizzle, 17 degrees, highs of 23. And we'll see highs of 25 in a cloudy Nakuru at 17. It's 18 and cloudy in Nyeri, going to highs of 24, and Eldoret cloudy at 16, with a chance of rain, highs of 24 and lows of 14. We're looking into a partly cloudy Mombasa. It will go to highs of 31, and Malindi, partly sunny at 29 with highs of 31. Kisumu is cloudy at 22, and we'll see cloudy conditions in Kakamega at 22 as well. All right, into Kampala. It's partly sunny at 21. It'll go to highs of 27, and we'll see highs of 29 in Dar es Salaam, where the rain is not letting up. Heavy rain since 6 a.m. continues down to lows of 24. Mogadishu is cloudy at 28, and Addis Ababa is sunny at 15. It's still hazy in Lagos at 25, and mostly sunny at 10 in Johannesburg, with mostly cloudy conditions in Kinshasa going to highs of 32.
Spice up your life.
A little bit heavy on the Thika Superhighway this morning coming in from Survey out into the CBD, and we're also seeing traffic coming out of Westlands. That's pretty busy. Gong Road then going out towards the CBD and then also snaking off towards Riara, out towards Gitanga and then onto James Gishuru. That is doing the thing. Roads are slippery, folks, so you want to be careful. We're seeing some movement coming out of Kitisiru all through towards the United Nations Avenue. Construction continues there, and that's why you're seeing that traffic that is moving slowly. The Lekoni interchange, I don't know what's up here the last few days, but it's touching on the southern bypass just a little bit, but then it will fizzle out as you're heading out towards the city. All right, SpiceFM KE on X. Let's talk there and keep things moving.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4.
Continues with the Honourable Dr. Daniel Manduku, Member of Parliament, Nyeri Masava constituency. We are talking about political promises, the shrinking economy, and basically how things are going. You are expressing a lot of frustration in terms of, what is happening in the ease of doing business. This conversation about ease of doing business has been there since... Okay, we can even go back into Kibaki years. There was a conversation about ease of doing business, attracting investment, spurring local investment. The Uhuru administration, Uhuru 1, Uhuru 2, same. We're into Ruto administration, it's the same. Ministry of Industry, Trade, Investment, separate state departments, a state department specifically for investment, for attracting investment, for spurring investment and growth, expanding special economic zones, EPZs across the country, creating the industrial parks in the counties, looking at all those ways of having investment in the country. But you're saying the process is still a stumbling block.
What you're saying is this: the policy is perfect. What seems to be a hindrance is the implementation, as usual. And my view, honestly, is that the president should take charge of this sector himself at his office. Because
what
I have
charge
a feeling.
Does the president
I have a feeling.
The president has taken charge by creating a state department.
It needs to be briefed on a weekly basis by these departments.
Mm-hmm.
How many investors came last week? How many investors came? Why are they not coming? Then that way people will wake up. There are thousands of licenses waiting for approval in this country, in every sector. And you cannot start investments without these licenses. And that is where we have a challenge.
But you see, Mheshimiwa, we have sat here with the Principal Secretary for Investment. He has a target. He's been given a target by the President. This is the target of FDI that you have every year. Okay? Several billions of dollars. So for him to meet that target, it means that he has the incentive to make sure that the process is working and it's moving. But it's like you
Another
said,
thing that can
some
be
of
done.
those things are because of the multiplicity of laws that we have. So you have so many regulators in the space. So you have to go to an environment regulator, you've got to go to a water regulator, you've got to go to I don't know which regulator. All those are created by Parliament. What is Parliament's role in unlocking this thing?
During Governor Kidero's time, we had an agreement in the construction sector. And we had a window, single window. And it worked. I would encourage that the same happens on investment matters. That the Ministry of Investment encourages these agencies to work on one platform for openness, for transparency, and for speedy issuance of licenses.
Mm-hmm.
It gets very frustrating when you wait for 1 year to get a license and no one has a reason or no one has an obligation to explain to you why.
Yeah.
How do you solve that? Let's have a transparent, single window licensing regime. And this, you don't need a law.
A seamless one.
Yeah, you just need an agreement among the agencies, because we have done that in the past. Now, if that happens, then you start seeing activity. Especially, there are people who want to invest in renewable energy.
Mm-hmm.
People want to invest in processing, agro-processing. And the licenses are always the same. Alternatively, have what you call a fast track. for investors. Whereas a license should take 90 days, it can be fast-tracked. We have officers working in these places. They're knowledgeable enough. And the intention of every investor is to actually follow the law and comply with regulations.
Well, sure, I'm stumped a little bit because it seems to me that it would be very obvious, yeah? Because we talk about the fact that, look, it's very difficult, and except for those economies which have, heavy funding and, superfluous amount of funds, that most governments will get into a situation whereby they do the very same thing that you've suggested in terms of public-private partnerships. And a lot of economies thrive on those. Now, if we see that as a solution for some of these things, whether it comes to infrastructure, building of roads, facilities, etc., whether it comes to, pumping in agriculture, health, whatever it may be, as a solution, and if 1 + 1 = 2, what would stop you then from making sure that the fuel to make this particular engine run then is not stumbled? Why wouldn't it be very obvious that you need to make sure that works?
Same questions we ask. It's obvious to you, it's obvious to me, but it's not obvious to some guys. But then, I think continued advocacy and agitation, and especially when I bring my motion to Parliament, I think it will create some reawakening, because I'll come with facts and figures, and I'll persuade members to see my point, that we need to make it easier for investors, both local and international, to put their money in Kenya.
So your proposal is to create a single window.
Correct.
Platform.
Yes.
Similar to the one for trade, Trade.
Correct.
The Kenya Trade Network Agency.
Yes,
right?
Yes, Trade.
When you're importing, you act at the port. An importer just goes onto this platform and you deal with KPA, you deal with KRA, you deal with NEMA, you deal with everybody on a single platform window, and you move your goods.
Correct.
So why can't we do that on investment application?
I've done a letter to the Speaker. I'm waiting for a response so that I can bring the bill to the House. And the idea is just to make it easier for you and me and others to invest. Because we always hide behind our single laws. Every agency hides behind its enabling legislation.
Yes.
So we want to come to an area where this supersedes those provisions.
You want to solve a legislative problem. It isn't a legislative problem. The legislation was put in place so that we could streamline processes. The subversion, it isn't as though the legislation is subverting itself. It is people who are subverting it. And it's
I think it's how we approach our problems usually. You're walking from here, you want to get out of this floor. If you find a stumbling block in the name of a door there, you're thinking about the door. So you think, all right, so this door opens on the inside and not on the outside, so let's get another door that opens on the outside and not on the inside. So you're only thinking about that, and you're not thinking about why was it opening on the inside and not,
Yes.
So you're not thinking holistically, and that's why we keep coming up with new authorities, new regulators,
Correct.
every single legislation.
Duplication.
You want
So
to
you have
regulate
something like here,
regulation.
you come up with a new entity, and you call it, this is an authority that will deal with people, because
it ends up confusing
And
the
by the way,
situation even more.
once you get the licenses, and I'm a living example, there's what we call the inspections. You have the same regulators coming to your premises at different times, different days of the
Each
month.
of these 15 licenses has a regulator behind them.
Yes, the cabs people will come on Monday, the 10th. The Kajiado County people will come on Wednesday, the 17th.
When they're ready.
The NEMA people will come on 21st on a Friday morning and arrest your people.
Arrest.
That is the intention, because you have not
health
complied.
people will come.
We have got a guy called OSHA. We have got public health. And then you are like, wait a minute. 16 of you are coming on 16 different days.
When do we do this work?
And the intention normally is not to aid or make it easy for you. It is to find mistakes. And one of the things that the law will seek to do is to have them have a multi-agency approach, because you're all government anyway. So come on Monday the 10th, and give us an appointment, and we are all there as directors to deal with you. Then come after 6 months. Let it be predictive, so that we can plan ourselves.
On this one, I would agree with the legislation. There should be legislation that they only come once or twice a month.
Or a year.
Or a year.
Or quarterly.
Yes, because it can't be every week.
The same problem with our construction sites in Nairobi. Every other day, there's a new guy coming to check your compliance. and you're on the 11th floor. So you wonder, really, you've been on this for the last 3 years. What are you coming to check again as City Council or as NEMA?
They want to make sure that the 11th floor is really the 11th floor. Yes. They dealt with the 10th. Now it's 11th. Yes.
And so this is what I want to do. And I hope it works out such that investors can easily do business. And I'm borrowing it heavily from Rwanda, where I was privileged to work as a young person. And I saw them setting up the one-stop shop in Kigali in the year 2001. And it has worked wonders. And that is why an investor sitting in Washington will look at the computer and look at ease of doing business in Africa. And top 5 countries. If we are not there, he'll go to the first 5. And depending on the reception he receives, depending on the tax regime, the incentives, he will invest his money there. Do you know we have Kenyans investing in Uganda today?
And they're finding it easier.
It is easier to invest in
Uganda than in Kenya. And again, I say, what you're saying today has been said, even in those roundtables with Uhuru and the private sector. Those are the issues. The person who's putting up Taifa Gas now at the coast was in one of those Uhuru meetings where he was saying, he is expressing his frustration. I've been wanting to come and invest in Kenya. I have no idea where I need to go to now, Mr. President. Now, it was launched. Has it come online? I hear he's still facing frustration. Those kind of things, everybody in government, everybody who ought to know, knows. The question is, why don't they do it?
I don't understand.
Lack of goodwill.
Why? Because they're making money out of it.
Rent seeking.
Okay. But then if you look at it from a national outlook, there's
some of them want to be shareholders in your investments.
It's
and
sabotage,
they tell you openly that what percentage will I get to approve this? I need to be.
So then if you don't give me my percentage, I'm going to essentially
stall
this
product
by not
acting. That is why our license is stuck. Why is my license stuck in Mombasa County since 2020? When I've complied with everything. I even got alternative land just to comply with their first query. And you speak to the governor until he leaves office. The new governor comes in and it's always promises. Are we serious? We are not.
You know, there's a country on this continent called South Africa during the days of apartheid. The laws that were enacted to keep the black African in his place were so many that it was almost difficult for even the implementers of the law to focus on which law. Because it's like with everything you did, you are likely to break the law. Let's come back to Kenya. Even before the emergency, you know all these estates that we look at in Eastlands, the reason why they are so tiny and the way they were built for Africans so that Africans would live there on their own. You're not supposed to come in with your family. That was the understanding. Now, you're not supposed to settle. You're supposed to live there and leave. What was the mentality? The colonialists understood that it's actually in their interest to ensure that this African is kept secluded from everything else. And the only time he gets to mingle with the rest of what is the part of the country that the white person ruled was when they were coming to work, and after that they went back. There are towns in South Africa where there was a railway line. The purpose of that railway line was to actually ship workers into the place where they work and out again. Why am I mentioning South Africa and the laws? You see, when you have laws that seem to be there to benefit the people, like the ones we have and with the new constitution, and every so often what you hear are complaints, and when the complaints arise, the politicians, you being one of them, tell us that they're rectifying this by creating yet another law, okay? And you don't hear the repealing of that other law. No, another law to help curtail. You then have to ask yourself, do the people who were elected and those who are in positions of authority, do they have any intentions of actually making this country a better place? Because everything that we see, and it isn't just this government, even the previous government, there were complaints about every government that we have in this country. What we compare is which government was worse than the other, not which government was better. The only time the better conversation got to be a little reasonable and seemed to make sense was during the Kibaki era. And yet, even in the Kibaki era, with hindsight, people were saying, better Moi. Now, Mheshimiwa,
yes.
Have we become a nation of complainers and whiners? Or do we actually have a problem that needs solving and it isn't in the creation of new laws? What do you think we need to do? You as an elder and you as somebody who has lived and has held positions of authority, What do you think we need to do?
You see, the common person, including my voters in Nyeri and Masava, ordinarily are people who wake up in the morning and struggle to make ends meet with good intention. But then when they are told that this will be done to you or for you, and they wait a year down the line, they're bound to ask questions. And asking questions necessarily doesn't mean complain or even dissatisfaction. You simply want answers and a way forward. Now, what should we do? I think as a leadership, we need to focus on serving our people. That has been the biggest problem, that we start by looking at ourselves rather than the people. But more than that, we need to do or put our energies in priority areas. If it's agriculture, let us do agriculture. There's a theory called the hedgehog theory. Jim Collins in strategy. Do what you're good at. Do what you have passion for. And do what gives you returns. As a country, we seem not to have a clear priority. If it's agriculture, if it is manufacturing, if it is service sector, we're all over. We do too many things. We launch projects in every sector, every day. Number two, we need to have a deliberate effort to diversify. We can't do things the same way our fathers and the forefathers before them did and expect different results. And the diversification here includes the way we approach our traditional farming methods. And that's what I was saying. We need to look at value addition. We need to take advantage of these new digital superhighway platforms and not be the traditional email and WhatsApp things. No. Go a level higher. Number three, we need to look for alternative funding options. And this is where PPP comes in.
Right.
We cannot rely on taxes to fund our debt, fund our development, and fund our current expenditure.
Right.
If harnessed properly, PPP is such a potential area of funding. I remember even reading in the papers this morning about the noise in leasing of the port facilities.
Yep.
Every country that has developed has leased facilities. We don't call it selling the port.
It's concession.
It's concession or landlord port model. If you go to Miami, the cruise terminals are run by private people. They've built, they operate, they just pay revenue. If you go to Singapore, 20 out of, I think, 30 berths are run by private sector. Our own neighbors, Tanzania, are run by private sector. What will it do when you do that? Then the money that we have as a country is used on education and health.
And even that, it's not.
But then when you have little money, we spread it all over, you can't get results. So if the government did those three things, in fact, those are low-hanging fruits if you ask me.
And by the way, Mheshimiwa, I'm listening. Again, value addition. County aggregation industrial parks. The whole thinking and the push for them is value addition.
Correct.
Special economic zones and expanding them. Again, value addition. So that one, we are saying we're heading in that direction.
Correct.
Okay. PPPs. An entire directorate at the Treasury for PPPs. And they're told, in fact, we want you to think about in the agricultural sector, PPPs, in water, PPPs, in this and the other, PPPs. So the conversations are happening
let me ask you,
in government quarters. The question is, what is holding them back? Is it that we are not moving at the pace that we should be moving at? Or is it that there are so many things that need to be aligned that are not aligned? And what are they?
In as much as we have the policy right, we have the directorates right, I think we are not moving at the right pace. How do you explain then that with all this PPP stock, and since we have had the law for the last 10 years or so, only one project has been closed? How do you explain that many projects don't see the light of day? And yet we know, if you walk across other countries, in other countries, they're working very well. What is it that is not working? Is it the competence of the people
No,
there?
it is we who are not working.
Is it that we're not attractive as an investment destination? The answer is no.
So what is it?
What is it?
The Kenyan idea of business. It's like we've institutionalized extortion as a way of doing business, so that instead of encouraging business to actually be business, we encourage business so that we can extort. We look at the billions of shillings that are allocated to our various ministries, and the highest officers in the land that either audit or tell us how this money is used are telling us in one voice that the money is spent, but you can't see it going into the projects for which it was intended. So it went somewhere because it isn't where it was intended. And it didn't go by itself. People took it there. So I think the story is out there and we've been told. It's clear.
So who do we need to get these things moving?
The idea of election and getting leaders in those positions so that this thing can be sorted out.
No.
Tried that before.
We are getting people into positions so they can go and do those things and
That is
bring us the
precise-
money.
That is precisely. They don't actually bring us money. That's a myth.
Extortionists, so that now we can say, mtu wa Nyeri, unajua ni neighbor yangu.
Yeah, but I mean, this is a complex situation. When you have an entire system of leadership that is best represented by people whose existence is based on extortion and how it is you can misappropriate government resources, how on earth do you expect to develop?
I'm really at pains to understand some of these things, Mheshimiwa, because obviously you rub shoulders every day. And why would you enter into a position of self-sabotage? Why would you do that? Because it is very clear how a country must develop. It is also clear what roles are in terms of governance, in terms of leadership. So when you choose, without seeing the bigger picture, to line or grease your own pockets, it's self-sabotage in the long term because the country continues to suffer. I have always been of the opinion that you don't need somebody to tell you with words how they really feel about you as a citizenry. You can see from their actions. But then why would we continuously put a country in the position of jeopardy, of sabotage, over and over and over again, and then still miraculously reserve the right to complain about the situation later? Why? What conversations do you have with these guys?
What we need to do, and first, we need to work on the drivers that can give us growth. We know that in Kenya, for example, the service and agriculture industry are giving us the highest growth in GDP. So we need to deliberately leverage on our superior human capital and ensure that we transform these sectors with a single aim of leapfrogging these particular sectors using technology and innovation. We need to get easy access of credit to our people so that this can be a catalyst for productivity. It is very difficult today to get money from the bank. We need to go the Kibaki way. And how do we do that? Discourage government borrowing from the local institutions. And then we need to emphasize on skills. Eric, even if I'm a member of parliament here, I'm also a painter. What skills do you have? What am I saying? Encourage skill sets for everyone, such that our people have an option for a daily livelihood. And we need to be deliberate about job creation, whether locally or for export. Now, once we do this, then we start having a positive growth. Now, when you have a positive growth, you will not hear a lot of this noise because people will be busy.
People will be busy
working.
And earning and affording to live.
But also, the noise is good because it means that the citizens are aware. And noise is not bad at all because they're asking for their rights.
Yeah.
And we should encourage them to speak out when they feel that they have been muzzled.
Mheshimiwa, thank you very much for joining us. The Honourable Dr. Architect Daniel Manduku, Member of Parliament for Nyeri Masava constituency, has been our guest this morning. Let's see how that bill fares in Parliament. We hope it gets support.
I hope so too.
Yeah, bipartisan support.
I will persuade my colleagues to see sense and see my way of looking at it.
Sawa. Keep it here for more conversations in the next hour. It's a Justice Thursday conversation. It's now 9 a.m.
Spice up your life.
The top of the hour on Vibes Radio.
Good morning, this is News Wire Dennis Aseto. Interior Cabinet Secretary Kithure Kindiki has directed security agencies to crack down on all political, commercial and spiritual enablers of banditry, as well as key planners and commanders of bandit attacks in the North Rift region. The call comes even as some political leaders in the country have been accused of funding conflicts in the region that has witnessed decades of violence. Kindiki said that as much as security agencies have made significant strides towards suppression of violent banditry in the North Rift Valley region, there remains small pockets of criminal elements that need to be eradicated. The Directorate of Immigration has cleared an additional 16,821 passport applications and relayed passports to regional centers for distribution in an ongoing rapid results initiative. Interior Cabinet Secretary Kithure Kindiki said the documents were available for collection beginning Monday, that is November 6th to November 10th, 2023. It will be the 7th week of the rapid results initiative. In Nairobi, 9,373 passports will be ready for collection at Nyayo House, 1,787 in Eldoret, 1,750 in Embu, and 1,500 in Kisumu. In Nakuru, 1,000 passports are ready, while 1,552 have been printed and awaiting collection in Mombasa. In Kisumu, the department said 1,692 passports are ready for collection next week. Kindiki launched the RRI campaign on September 19th, 2023, in a bid to clear a soaring passport backlog amid a crisis at the Immigration Department blamed on a broken printer and corruption. Initially, there was a backlog of 87,454 passports that were yet to be collected from the Directorate of Immigration headquarters and regional offices. The government has kicked off the pilot phase of digital ID ecosystem and Maisha number rollout in the country ahead of the official unveiling. Immigration and Citizen Service Principal Secretary Julius Bitok said the pilot phase will target first-time ID applicants who are turning 18 years. Bitok said that going forward, first-time applicants will now be issued with a new Maisha card as government moves away from the second-generation IDs. From January 1st, the standard gauge railway user will pay an additional 500 shillings to 1,500 to travel between Nairobi and Mombasa. Kenya Railways has announced that one-way trip from the capital city of Kenya to the coastal town on an economy class will go up 1,500 from 1,000 shillings before. First-class users will be hit the hardest since they will be parting with 4,500 one-way from 3,000 shillings currently. In a statement, the company links the hike in charges to the current high fuel prices, which have pushed up operational costs. The Senate Health Committee has advised the Nyamira Governor Amos Nyaribo to make prudent use of the Facility Improvement Fund to improve healthcare services provision in the county. The Senate Health Committee Chairperson Jackson Mandago, speaking during an impromptu tour to assess the level of service delivery and infrastructure improvement status of various health facilities in Nyamira County, observed that county public health facilities are underutilized allegedly due to its failure to meet the client's healthcare needs. Muranga Senator Joseph Ngoge, who is a member of the committee, further suggested that the county works closely with the Human Resources Council to conduct regular sensitization forums to train their staff on customer relation etiquette when attending to clients seeking services at the health facilities. And the status of absolute free secondary education is in limbo following revelations by the Ministry of Education that they are facing underfunding and can only disburse 68% of capitation per annum. Education Cabinet Secretary Ezekiel Machogu disclosed before the National Assembly Committee on Education that they are currently facing a shortfall of 22 billion shillings, which has a ripple effect on school funding. The government allocates 22,244 shillings per learner annually under the free day secondary school program, but the allocation disbursed by the Ministry of Education is 16,400 shillings per learner. And the results of the Kenya Certificate of Primary Education examinations will be released by Christmas, according to Education Principal Secretary Belio Kipsang. Speaking in Nairobi, Kipsang stated that the Form 1 placement will also be completed within this period. He assured that the government is committed to ensuring a 100% transition to secondary school. And Pakistan has resorted to a violent crackdown on the Afghan people living in the country despite appeals and warnings from various humanitarian organizations. Islamabad government's action is likely to endanger the lives of these refugees upon their arrival in Taliban-ruled Afghanistan. Many Pakistani citizens also joined the voices against the Islamabad government's decision to forcefully deport Afghan nationals. This is Newswire. I'm Dennis Aseda. Good morning.
Okay, today has not been too bad a day in terms of traffic. We're just looking a little bit here and there. Coming off the Thika Superhighway in terms of what's left, Chiromo is busy. It's also busy coming off James Gishuru. We're going to see that area into Poponi and Spring Valley coming in from Lower Kabete, quite sticky right now. And also looking at it coming from Limuru Road up there near United Nations Avenue. That's pretty busy still. And will be. Construction dictates that the roads will move a lot slower because of the action going on there. A smidgen of traffic on Magadi Road. As you get to Langata Road, you'll be all right. And we'll see some of that on Jogo Road. Landis is heavy, bumper to bumper, through and through towards Kamkunji at the roundabout. A little bit at Kangunda Road as you touch on Outer Ring. But again, nothing too nasty. Let's keep an eye on things closer to the end of traffic hour than we were before. Let's talk on SpiceFM KE on X and keep things moving this morning.
This is the Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not
morning.
down.
On to the final hour of Kenya's biggest conversation. It's the second day of November 2023. And yes, now until 25th of December, it's Merry Christmas.
Deck the halls.
Oh, yes. That's how we say. It's Merry Christmas. Thank you very much, everybody, for choosing to stay tuned to Kenya's biggest conversation. You know, we are also thinking about January, which is coming, and we're talking about school fees. And 35,000 shillings going towards school fees is not a small thing.
No.
Kiwi acknowledges this.
Yes. And says, okay, so how about you do this? How about you buy a tin of kiwi and let's say that you can get 35,000 shillings towards school fees in January. How'd you do it? Okay, so you go into any supermarket and you get the participating kiwi tin with this fabulous new design. You pick it and then you pop the lid. You can decide to do all of this in the supermarket just to make sure you see how if you want one or not.
What if I want a shop?
You want a shop? To do what?
To go and buy in a shop.
Then you go and buy in a shop.
Okay.
So long as the participating kiwi is there.
Okay.
Okay? You can't go and buy a packet of milk and say, or you buy a packet of biscuits and say, I want to participate.
So I can buy anywhere.
Kiwi. So long as it is the participating kiwi tin.
Sawa.
Got it?
You're right.
Then you find the code which is under the lid. And then you will dial *459 *5 hash. And you could instantly, you will instantly win data or airtime. And then you are automatically put into the draw. Every week, there will be a winner of 35,000 shillings that goes towards school fees. I repeat, it is not 35,000 shillings so that you can do Happy Christmas. It is 35,000 shillings so that when come January and you have finished all the Happy Christmas money, people will go to school. Got it? Step up and shine with Kiwi.
I think I get it now.
Thank you very much.
Bas.
If you've understood, I've finished.
Very good. Your job here is done.
I understood the assignment.
Okay. It's Thursday. It is a Justice Thursday conversation, okay? And today we want to talk about a child-centered justice system. This month of November is very special for children, and we'll get to understand why. We're joined by two ladies in the studio. The Honorable Barbara Ojo is a senior principal magistrate, and Pamela Masakwi is a member of the National Council on the Administration of Justice Standing Committee on Children Matters. Hey, good morning and welcome.
Good morning.
Thank you very much for joining us. That's a hot seat of the Situation Room. Your Honor, you're sitting now on this other side. You're in the dock. Okay.
Wow. Nice place to be.
You see where I'm elevated?
Yes.
Do you relate? I'm the one on the bench.
I totally relate.
You see the gentleman there? He'll introduce himself. The bar. The lady, witnesser. Court is now in session.
Yeah.
Karibuni sana today.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
We'll be talking about children and the importance of us having this conversation and around this month. But to welcome you to the conversation, CT has the day's proverb. This week's proverbs are from
the Republic of Burundi.
Right.
Okay. The unlucky man's hope prevented him from committing suicide.
The unlucky man's hope prevented him from committing suicide. Mm-hmm. Pamela, what's your interpretation of this proverb?
I don't know what they were unlucky about, because if they did not commit suicide, I would think they were lucky. Yeah, so I think having hope is important in life. I think that's what the proverb is saying, because then it can keep you out of trouble or keep you from a place where you're feeling hopeless.
Mm-hmm. Honorable Barbara, what do you think?
I want to echo what Pamela said. I want to believe the unlucky man was rescued by the hope. And hope is important in life. Hope can get you out of certain situations. And in this case, it got him out of committing suicide. Mm-hmm. So I believe hope is important in life.
Okay. You want to explain to us a senior principal magistrate. Hey, what rank is that? Who's a senior principal magistrate? How are you different from a senior principal chief justice?
If there's such a rank.
That's an interesting question, Eric. In magistracy, we have different classes.
Levels and stages.
Levels and stages in magistracy. So we start from the rank of a district magistrate, then you get to resident magistrate, then you get to senior resident magistrate, principal magistrate, senior principal magistrate, and then the chief magistrate. Mm-hmm. Yes, so that's a hierarchy of magistracy.
Okay.
Yes, so my day job is a magistrate, as all the others, and that is my rank. Currently, I serve at Maboko Law Court, and I'm the head of station there.
Okay.
Yes.
So does a senior principal magistrate handle some cases that a district magistrate would not handle?
Yes. There are certain cases that a district magistrate and a resident magistrate and even a senior resident magistrate would not handle that a senior principal magistrate handles. And also what differentiates us also is the pecuniary jurisdiction. Mm-hmm. And now that is in civil matters. You find that for the resident magistrate, for instance, he or she can handle a case where the value of the subject matter goes up to 7 million. For a senior principal magistrate, we go up to 15 million.
Okay.
For a chief, it goes up to 20 million. Yes.
Okay. Pamela, this NCAJ standing committee on all those things, what's it about?
Thank you so much, Eric. So the NCAJ stands for National Council on Administration of Justice. And this is a body of the judiciary that coordinates the activities of the other actors within the criminal justice system. And it has committees. And one of the committees, it works through committees, and one of the committees is Standing Committee on Children Matters, which I am a part of. So this committee focuses on the welfare of children within the criminal justice system. And that is why this year our theme is to ensure that we have a child-centered criminal justice system, meaning that we have a system that